Warzone Wednesday, another prepping for SHF scenarios by Sigma Prepper. Everything's my own content, as usual. You never see anything like this on any other channel to do with survival and prepping on the net. They're too lazy. Or they just don't know enough. Anyway, if you like depth, if you like detail, this is the place to be. No matter what the topic, what the subject, anything to do with survival and prepping, this is where you want to be. So let's just scoot through this first bits thing, because we cover these mostly on the beginnings of each show. But for those that are new to us, modern Western societies are suffering from learned dependency big time right now. Particularly compared to our ancestors 100 years ago. They all knew how to be, you know, raising goats and hens and chickens and stuff like this, and how to keep food, even though there's no electricity or freezers. It was like cellars and things and salting. We don't know any of that now. And with our reliance on all this stuff, we just become essentially we've learned to become dependent on the system. So why should you learn with me? Well, just pause it and read that. Types of warfare tactics then. Now, you'll notice something different from the last few weeks because we're getting into AI, which is actually part of the next gen. So before, what I was doing is I was combining it into the 5th gen, because it is a 5th generation warfare tactic, right? But when we start talking AI, particularly literally within the last 1 year, because it's only just been starting to adopt into military strategies and things like this, right? So it's becoming what is now considered to be the 6th generation warfare tactic, right? So we'll go through, for those that aren't familiar, and we'll just so we know where we are, and then we'll see how it compares with the 5th and the 6th warfare tactics, right? So conventional warfare, you know, pretty straightforward. You know, there's certain words I really have to try not to say. I've already had to remove something out of tonight's show that was ended up, when I searched for it, is basically somewhat classified. So I've had to pull quite a few things out of that. Now, my ultimate prepping guide, which would be my book released this year, that's like probably 450 pages big by the time that's finished. That will have all of the stuff in there, right? But for tonight's show, I've had to leave some bits and pieces out. Let's just say that, right? So conventional warfare, you know, tanks, ships, cannons, usual kind of like M16s, you know, old school. You know, they're typically made up of organised state actors, country to country, you know, standard weaponry, firearms, tanks, artillery, right? And typical rules of engagement. It's actually conventional warfare. These are the things. Now, we haven't gone through these. We haven't gone... Oh, thank you so very much, Della. What a super... Thank you. She's gifted a YouTube membership. Thank you so very much. Get your emojis rocking in the live chat if you are a member. Show them off. And I'll make some more as well if I'm able to. We'll have to see if YouTube will let me. So these are the things that make up the conventional warfare tactics. Most of these things you're familiar with. Nuclear warfare, aerial warfare, naval, land, siege, trench, right? So 4th generation, we start getting a little bit more gnarly. We're getting into asymmetric tactics here. You know, things like Afghanistan and Iraq, where it was sort of like guerrilla warfare tactics, right? The rules kind of out the window, right, for 4th generation in terms of guerrilla warfare. Do you know what I mean? It's not like they don't care about, you know, rights and things like that. So it gets a bit more gnarly. And we start, you know, we're operating within the physical world, but we're diverging for traditional warfare, you know, with your tanks and your flags, with your own country thing on it, right? So, you know, we're typically looking at unconventional tactics, relies on irregular methods like sabotage, ambushes, think, you know, like the pipeline, Russian pipeline, stuff like that, right? Asymmetry in power, because, you know, nowadays you can't just declare war on a country because of all the old mad, you know, mutually assured destruction treaties that things like America and China have between them. Obviously, China knows they can't win a first strike from America, and America knows they can't win a long-term war from China. So anyone who starts it is literally getting it, right? So basically, there's no like, oh, I declare and warn you anymore. You've got to do it snidely, and that's where the 4th generation comes in with things like the sabotage, things like the false, you know, thingy bobs and all that kind of stuff, right? Now, here's a list of them here, right? So moving into the 5th gen, right? And we're getting closer now, and we'll talk about what we've covered off already in the last 5 episodes of the Warzone Wednesday, right? But the 5th generation warfare tactics, we're looking at more stuff like, you know, this was a really, really big one. There was a reason why. How many slides was it? Let me know if anyone remembers for the psychological and information warfare tactics, because that, I think, was about 80-something slides, right? And there was a reason for it, and it is absolutely packed full of juice. And to be honest, I don't think you're actually going to learn that from anywhere else, because a lot of that stuff is like forbidden knowledge, right? So please go and make sure you watch all of these, particularly the psychological and information warfare tactics, because if you understand them, then you'll understand what's happening in the world right now. This isn't stuff that's happening in the future. This is shit that's going down now as we speak, right? And all of these things that we're going to see pretty much are already going on, right? So 5th generation, we're talking about more like manipulation, you know, psychological warfare, stuff like this, misinformation, disinformation, right? Now, we did touch on some of the things in 5th generation warfare tactics, which comes back around again when we're now talking about the AI and next gen type warfare tactics. And there is some overlap, right? And this is how most of the work for me really is figuring out how I'm going to compartmentalize all of the information, right? How do I categorize it, right? Oh, look at Tracy's just helped me pay the internet so it doesn't get shut off. Tracy, you got no idea, honey. Thank you so very much. Got to keep you on the internet, Drew. Oh, I love you, honey. You got no idea what it means to me. You're what a super wonderful wolf pack. That's what I love about this place. And if all I can do for you is to spend days and days and days putting these shows together that only last an hour and a half, then that's the least I can do. Oh, UK Urban Prepper has become a member. Thank you, UK Urban Prepper. Great to see you in the house as well. Go and check out UK Urban Prepper. He's got a wonderful channel. We've all got deep respect for UK Urban Prepper, so deserves all the success he's getting. So thank you for being with us. Good to see you, my man. So here we go then. This is the sort of 5th gen gnarly, right? Avoids physical combat, because again, this is like, you don't want to be declaring war because you're going to get whoosh in return, right? So you got to do it stealthily, you got to be covert, and that's a lot to do with what 5th gen, which is why these have been ongoing for some time, right? Global reach, you know, this is like cyber warfare is covered in this as well. So of course it's international in that level. And then the psychological impact with the media, the way that's been manipulated, and you know, you can target economies and bring stocks down to damage countries as well, right? So all this stuff is wrapped up. Now, so far, we've been picking things off the 5th generation warfare tactics one by one, each of the episodes, right? So what we've done before was obviously the psychological warfare, the information warfare. We did that in episode 5, those two together, right? But that also did include some culture warfare. Now, we've done an entire episode, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, I think it was episode 3, which was the entire one for the drone warfare, which covered everything to do with drones. But drones is also overlaps into 6th gen or next gen and AI, because you've got fully autonomous drones, right? Rather than the ones we talked about dedicated to the show. So and obviously the electromagnetic warfare was the one we did, episode 4. Again, great one. If you've ever wondered how to actually do a Faraday bag and what an EMP actually does with actual physics rather than the nonsense that I was going to do the old air quote thing again, but you know, with the nonsense that I see people throwing about in this space who don't have a clue. It's all very well me saying I come from electronic engineering background, but I'm just saying it's not difficult to know the right thing, you know what I mean? So that is packed full of that, right? And I haven't seen anyone talking about the stuff that I talked about in that electromagnetic warfare. I don't mean that in a no way, but I just mean, don't think it's just another, oh yeah, put it in a dustbin, right? To protect it, nothing like that. Now, what we're going to be talking about today, all 78 slides of it is, we're on slide 15 at the moment, is cyber warfare, AI, and emerging technologies, right? So, because there's technologies that we don't know don't exist yet, right? There's the known knowns and the unknown unknowns, right? And the unknown knowns. And so the emerging is like the unknown unknowns. But space warfare is combined into this because we're talking, as we talked about before, the separation between 4th and 5th version of space warfare. 4th is more like literally just shooting out of the sky. Space warfare, non-physical, is more like hacking satellites and stuff like that, which is part of more the 5th generation, right? So that's the difference, non-physical. So that's included in the AI one we're talking about tonight. The cyber warfare, obviously, as well, plus the drone warfare, as I mentioned in a few slides ago, yeah? Now, just to familiarize people with the difference, we've looked at, like, you know, what makes up a 5th generation warfare tactic, but let me just give you a rundown of what we're talking about when we talk about 6th gen, because this is only really becoming relevant now in the age of AI, right? So 6th gen or next gen warfare eliminates basically this is like bots against bots, and we ain't got anything to do with it. They're just doing it themselves. This is largely what makes up 6th generation warfare tactics, right? So relying on fully autonomous AI systems, quantum computing is going to be a big thing we talk about tonight, and AI-driven battle networks. China's pretty much mastering it with quantum computing, but don't tell anyone. The focus is on AI versus AI combat. So we're talking like AI bots fighting AI bots autonomously. It's kind of already happening. You know, there's the auto malware that dishes out malware, but then there's also the auto, you know, your semantic antivirus and your Norton antivirus and stuff like that, which is automatically, do you know what I mean? They're almost having a little bit of a battle between them behind the scenes without us doing anything on a bigger level around the internet, as well as on your own desktop PC. So, but if you think that on a massive scale where you've got AI bots attacking AI bots, it starts to get... So, you know, we're talking space-based warfare, quantum cyber operations, yeah? So when you're using quantum computers, there's not a lot of stuff out there that's not beatable. The thing that we'll get into that when we get to the next slides. So this is 6th gen. We're talking the things that sort of what would typically represent 6th generation warfare tactics would be no human command required. So AI fully controlling battle operations, AI versus AI warfare, as I touched on, cyber and military battles fought between machine learning algorithms. It's going to get gnarly, peeps. Quantum supremacy and warfare. Yeah, again, like I say, China's way ahead of the game. Nations using quantum computing for unbreakable encryption and instant cyber infiltration. Yeah. Once you're compromised on an encryption level as a military, you can imagine, right? I mean, how powerful was it when, don't forget, Britain cracked the code? You'll let me know live in the chat, because I forget the name of the machine. Enigma, was it? Please confirm. I don't like getting anything wrong, you know me. But the Enigma machine was a classic example of that, to the point where, you know, a little bit similar. I've told you the story before about radar. You know, when we invented radar, when we were talking about psychological and information warfare, if you missed it, I've touched on the example of a propaganda in wartime, which was Britain put loads of reports out in newspapers saying that if you eat carrots, then it will help you see in the dark, right? That's where that came from. If you eat carrots, you can see in the dark, right? But it wasn't anything to do with that. It was just because we'd designed and invented the radar, and we didn't want the Germans to know how we knew they were always coming and where their places were, right? So we put a load of stories out about, you know, eat carrots, and they were like, oh, they must have eaten carrots and stores. So in the same way, in the same way as like the Enigma machine is on that same level of the radar, where we're able to see all of their communications, the enemy, and we already know what they're going to do and when they're going to do it. Can you imagine the power of that? So once you start instantly busting through military level encryption, it's game over for whoever's getting busted into, right? So that giving you a good old recap. You can't say I didn't catch you up if you haven't seen all the other episodes. Cheers. Love, peace and progress to the pack, and thank you to those that have super chatted and helped keep the show alive. If you'd like to help me in any other way, all the links in the description below, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Love you all. So this is what we're going to be combining into it then. Oh, look at Della being an absolute babe. Drew, for your continued hard work and information sharing. Come on, folks. Like, subscribe, and share. It's free. It's free. Love's free as well, Della, and I've got plenty of that for you, because you've been there since, like, what, 2020 for me? So, you know, really appreciate you, honey. Right. Let's do it. Let's get into the 5th/6th generation warfare tactics, AI and next generation warfare. And let's just say, if you, a lot of people say to me, oh, Drew, I've got to watch your videos like 2 or 3 times sometimes. There's so much packed into them, which is lovely to hear. But if you come back to watch this again tomorrow and it's not on the internet, then you'll know that some of the other classified stuff was in here that I hadn't pulled out, because I had the same problem with the psychological and information warfare tactics. If you watch that, I'm kind of surprised that one's still up. Anyway, AI and next generation warfare, let's get into it. With the Warzone Wednesday, with Drew, the Serial Prepper, a more strategic approach to preparedness. Buckle up. Let's do it. 6 categories of tactics, a little bit like the way I did it for the information psychological warfare tactics. I busted that into 6 primary categories, and then within that, we've got categories. So it gets complicated. I started drawing it out. I know how I'm going to present it in the Ultimate Prepping Guide, Sigma Prepper book that I'm releasing this year. The Winter Prepping Guide is already out, don't forget, and the soft launch tonight is something that will give you free download of that. But anyway, more of that in the after party with the VIP Patreon members in the Discord server. So I've done a similar thing here where, because I have to do like a tree where you got like, you know, fifth dimensional warfare tactics, and then out of that you got like information warfare tactics, and in there there's like 6 categories of that, and in them there's about 8 of each in there, right? It's like massive. So it's a little, not quite as gnarly here, but we're getting there, right? So this is the way I've decided to do it. I'm sorry if anyone thinks I shouldn't have done it this way, but this is kind of how I've got it in my book. So this is how I'm doing it. Now, autonomous weapons and drones. Now, each of these 3, 3, 3, 2. This one that's 2 was 3. The one that's in there is one of the ones that I found out I'm not supposed to know about, so I had to pull it out because I know that's definitely going to get me taken down. Which I've had that with 2 other channels before, right? This is why I'm saying I wish they'd just give me a book of stuff that I'm supposed to know and stuff I'm not supposed to know, and then we'll know what not to say or not. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it'd make it much easier. But anyway. 6 categories. In each category, there's 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, right? So that's how we're going to do it. So we're going to take each category, and then within each category, we're going to take each thing, each warfare tactic within that thing, and talk about it, right? Here we go. First up then. Actually, let me quickly grab my chat window so I can see what's going on. And I'll pull it over here. Ooh. Thank you, everyone. And then I can refer to anything that's going on massively. So thank you, everyone. Please hit the like button if you're just joining us, because it does help. And please share this video, because it'd be good to get your friends and family as well live in the chat with you and sharing the experience, right? And don't forget to vote in the live poll. So the first up then is autonomous weapons and drones. So autonomous, no humans involved, no little alien inside with joysticks and stuff, right? This is Lich doing it itself. A little bit like the Google, the self-driving cars and things, the Google cars and Tesla and things like that, right? But even that requires human intervention. So AI is now taking control of the battlefield, replacing human decision-making with machine precision. This section will explore how AI-driven combat drones, robotic soldiers, and loitering munitions are reshaping war. So, now this is where we do feather into slightly what we talked about with the specific drone warfare tactics. Was a whole episode I dedicated to that. I think it was episode 3. Check out the podcast in the description of this video. It contained all 6 episodes of the Warzone Wednesday. So these are the three warfare tactics, if you like, within the category of autonomous weapons and drones that's within the overall category of AI next generation warfare. You see how that works? So it's kind of color coded, right? If you look, this is number 1, 2, 3 is in red. These are the main top categories, right? Of the main category AI next generation warfare. Do you see how big war is? So this is like number 1 is in red, right? But when we get to this 1, 2, 3 in blue, this is because we're now in the specific war, right? So you know my color coding. It's just so I like to do things to help people to follow along what we're doing here. So AI-powered loitering munitions, kamikaze drones capable of identifying and eliminating targets without human intervention. We haven't quite seen that quite yet in Ukraine and stuff like that, but it's been getting close, but they do exist, and I've seen other things that are similar, including things like the AI-controlled swarm drones, which is different. The swarm technology is super scary. Because I ran out of time today, I had loads of videos set up. I didn't get time to download them off my iCloud. I do apologise. That was going to reference a lot of these things. But to be honest, it's already going to be a 2-hour show. So... and sorry, I should have mentioned as well, we'll have our usual 5-minute break in the middle of the thing, right? Even though we've already been going like half an hour, but we'll be all right. So swarm technology, swarm drones, coordinated attacks using thousands of mini drones. Now, what this show and other shows that I've done like this will allow you to do is to take the knowledge I'm giving you and to expand on it yourself by searching for these things. Now, a lot of people, their knowledge stops at a point because they just don't know what they don't know. So they don't know what to search for, because how do you know if you don't know it exists, right? We're going to search for like, oh, show me secret military tech. I mean, what do you think you're going to get, right? Ask AI that. Show me military, unless you know what you're talking about to begin with. You don't know what to ask for. So by following what I'm doing here, you can at least similar to the psychology, when I was talking about things like the Kurt Lewin spiral, Kurt Lewin research spiral is part of the psychological and information warfare tactics, things like astroturfing and all these other things I was talking about, media laundering. There's lots of, and I've been involved in quite a lot of that psychological stuff through marketing and high level kind of strategy with business and marketing and sales and stuff, right? It's very similar. I'll check out Della. Look, thank you so much, my darling, gifting a Wolfpack member of YouTube, which gives you access to all sorts of stuff. I don't know if it tells me. Oh, Whiskey J Jack was gifted by Della, so thank Della, Whiskey J Jack. Thank you so much, darling. So unmanned fighter jets and war robots. Believe it or not, China's already got that rocking, right? AI-controlled aerial and ground combat units replacing human troops. Now, we're not talking about we're talking like the war robots, not in terms of robots. That's a totally different category, right? But yeah, gnarliness. So what we're going to do is we are going to individually break down into the AI-powered loitering munitions, yeah, and then we're going to do that with each of these, like we did in the last episode, right? So, AI-powered loitering munitions. So, small AI-guided drones capable of identifying, tracking, and autonomously striking targets. So again, no human involved here. This is like lich. Yeah? Now, these loitering ones, I've built a similar system with, just even a standard MAV, they call it, MAVLink based flight controller for a model plane, right? Mine was like a 2-meter wingspan thing. Which had about a 2-hour flight time. And that was actually a relay station that I built for a ground drone for a business, right? It was a security business that had ground drones, but they needed to have a range to transmit. So I created the loiter system, which is essentially just an autonomous drone with a flight controller that just goes on a loiter pattern, and you just set a radius in the software, right? And it just does a radius. And that acts as a receiver for the drone on the ground, yeah? Or the rover, beaming up to my designed plane, and then that plane beams back to the base. Do you see? So that would be a loitering, that's completely autonomous. So that's the sort of thing I've built several times, is that loitering. But mine didn't have any munitions on it, right? There was nothing to do with that. It was just literally relay station. So that's the idea of what we're talking about with these things that can just track stuff, without any intervention tool. Is scary stuff, right? There is one actually that Obama got known for using quite a lot, which is, you've probably heard about it, where there's some drones that can hone in on things like cell signals for specific SIM cards, right? And that's largely autonomous, or they're becoming more autonomous as well, right? So, So these are game changers in terms of AI enables real-time target selection without human oversight. When you look at military tactics and stuff, particularly when you look in the aviation element of it, the decision-making of friend or foe, target, lock, not, clear, not clear, is it friendly, unfriendly, the decision to actually pull the trigger with anything significant is quite a long time. And that amount of time could be the difference between your enemy getting one off on you before you do, right? So cutting any decision-making time down in any military situation, believe me, is a life and death situation, right? So having that ability for it to make decisions and bomb immediately, and there's no hesitation, there's no right? So unlike missiles, loitering munitions can hover for hours waiting for the best moments to strike, right? So in terms of examples, what do I want? Where's my Word document? Hold on. I need my Word document because I've got some little thingy bobs here for your... Is it in the folder? So, because we're going to be talking survival strategies is what we're going to talk about together when we get to that, right? So I'll just whiz up to a little bit. Okay. Right. Now these are it's annoying because I was just thinking, I'd love to get. I had so many things downloaded, not downloaded, ready for you to show you some of these things, right? But it's going to be such a long show. You'll have to have a look. It's quite difficult to find this stuff as well. Like even when I'm searching for it, it's like it doesn't want to tell you. But if you use these, it should tell you if you use what I've written here, right? So the Switchblade 600, AI-driven, self-guided kamikaze drone used in Ukraine. So there's loads of videos on TikTok, if you know where to look with them, right? That's how I came across them. The Lancet drones we've all heard about recently, don't forget, that was that started really kicking stuff off, right? Autonomously hunting down enemy tanks and artillery. We talked about that in the drone warfare tactics, dedicated episode for that because it's such a big topic in itself. And you got the Harpy drones, which is the Israel's version, right? The AI-powered anti-radar kamikaze drones for preemptive strikes. That was what I think was used on when, if you know what I mean. So in terms of survival strategies, when it comes to things like AI-powered, these loitering things. I mean, these are things that are like going around in the sky for hours on end, and of course. First of all, they're loitering to a point where you're not really going to see them. You're not really going to see them coming. You're not going to hear them. And if you've seen the speed of these things, some of them are hypersonic as well, which again are auto hunting and things like that. And at hypersonic is just crazy stuff. It's not out of prototyping yet, but Russia's been talking about it. Doing hypersonics like already impressive, but doing like AI-based target, like as in you can launch it in the air and it's going to basically find its target while it's up there. That's usually not how it works, right? So, and things are developing like exponentially, right? It seems like every week there's new developments in AI, and I'm not talking about DeepSeek and ChatGPT and stuff like this. I'm talking like military-based. If you follow in the right news and stuff, right, then you'll know what I mean. It's like the AI wars have already kind of begun in terms of like with the competitive nature, as we already know, and we'll talk about it more. We'll talk about it in more detail in a dedicated show, because we need to talk about things like, which again is part of the fourth and fifth dimensional warfare tactics, particularly, which is the economic and the lawfare tactics, right? So you're talking like the banning the export of chips to China for AI and stuff, right? So these are good examples of lawfare tactics, which is on the fifth dimensional warfare list as well, and also economic warfare. So this is already going on, but it's going on the basis of the AI, the AI battle that's going on, right? So let us know what ideas you've got, right, in terms of survival strategies for these sorts of things. Because if you've seen them Lancet drones go, these things like across the sky, and you just think to yourself, I really can't see how you would dodge it, right? I mean, apart from things like camouflage and decoys, yeah, we talked about that before in terms of like, your thermal blankets. Do you remember we talked about that with thermal cameras, the thermal blankets? But actually, when you look at that in a thermal camera, it's pretty blatant. It just looks like a silver sheet, right, in the thermal. In fact, just a normal tarp fabric is better as long as it's away from you far enough. Otherwise, your body heat heats it up. So it's a very, very difficult one. To be honest, getting underground is probably your best option, right? Apart from if you got the ability to have jamming technology, right? Russia's pretty good at jamming technology, yeah. Their jamming capabilities are second to none. They've shown Britain that pretty much straight away with when we started firing our missiles over to Russia from the UK. They pretty much got it figured out within about 2 weeks, I think, and they can bring our missiles down now. Just scramble the GPS and stuff. A piece of progress to the pack. So, don't really know about survival strategies for that one, because I can't find my notes anyway. Well, I've got a couple of them, but I don't have the things on there that I thought I had. They're in my book notes, not my show notes. So, oh God, I'm all over the place tonight. I do apologise. I hope you're able to follow along with me despite how even though I spent like quite a few days designing and writing this show, when it actually comes to putting the slides together and all the different fonts and all the different colors and all the different, you know what I mean? It's like, it takes a long time and I ran out of it, right? So the second part of this autonomous weapons and drones category then is the AI controlled swarm drones. Now I did touch on this. This is quite exciting stuff. Now I'm sure you've all seen those drone displays where they're all working together and they're all moving around and doing like a dragon flying through the sky, if you've ever seen that. I did show one on this show several times. That's kind of like a swarm technology, but there's actually a movie as well. Let us know live in the chat if you've seen that movie I'm talking about. There's a new movie come out and it's like all these drones going whoo, and like thousands of them. It's just completely overwhelming the defenses, right? You're talking multiple AI powered drones working together as a self-organizing attack force. So again, this isn't some dude with a controller. This is like they're all talking to each other and communicating in a network, mesh network with each other. And they're coordinating their movements together. Is extremely difficult to overcome that. So the reason it's such a game changer is the swarm intelligence means drones can communicate and adapt in real time. There's no delay. Again, remember what I said to you about anytime there's a delay, and on the battlefield and in military tactic terms, the biggest delays come from communication and decision making. So the fact that AI is so good at that, it's kind of just it should illustrate to you how this isn't not happening already, because it already is. Yeah. Too fast for human reaction, coordinated AI swarms overwhelm defenses. You just can't get in the way of it. It's virtually impossible. So AI and next generation warfare then. So next up is the examples of the AI controlled swarm drones. I don't know if you've heard of the US Gremlins program. It's quite interesting. AI controlled drones deploying from larger aircraft. It's funny because Russia's got a similar, well, I don't know if it's similar because it's a small version, let's say, but Russia's just come out with this new one that they've seen and they're using in Ukraine, which is like a little bit like that loitering plane that I've built several times for people that does reconnaissance and relay stations and stuff like this. It's a 2-meter wingspan, but it's good because the payload's good. It means you can carry quite a big battery pack. You can get a good couple of hours out of it, right? But they're using similar things like that, but they've actually got quadcopter drones attached underneath each wing. And so quadcopters they're great, but they're not very good for long range. You know, we talked about this in more detail in the dedicated episode 3 or whatever it was for the drones Warfare Wednesday in onesies. But this is but the problem with those sorts of small quadcopter drones, like the ones I've shown you, is they're talking like 15-20 minute flight time, which you can't really do too much. You can't really do too much or go very far if you imagine in... sorry, I'm just recovering my thing from a crash. You can't really go too far with a little quadcopter drone, despite how nimble and agile they are and quite fast, which is an advantage. But they can't carry a very big payload, and any payload they carry does come at the cost of range. 10 minutes, not 20, right? If you're trying to carry a you-know-what under it to drop on you-know-who. Now, the benefit of using this Gremlins program that America's got, I'm talking about, is very similar idea, where you're using a big drone to take those little ones out, and then when it gets over the target, it drops them off, and they go off and do the bidding, right? So it's like a hybrid system. It's like a delivery system, right? That's kind of what the Gremlins is like, on fentanyl and steroids at the same time. China's AI swarm drones, they're the ones that I've seen. It's super scary. That's why I've listed it in here, because I've got video of that. I wanted to show you, because when you see that, you'll be like, oh man, I'm out of it. Oh boy. Demonstrated launching from truck-mounted pods. It looks nasty. Do you know, like when you see like swarms of bees coming out of a bush? It's like it's like that, but every one of them can kill you. Yeah, for instant battlefield coverage. Turkey's Kargu 2 swarm. That's an interesting one. Look into that. AI-driven drone team eliminating targets autonomously. I think you're allowed to see that. I don't know. You'll have to find out. So in terms of, again, you know, survival strategy, for things like these, I mean, these could well be used against, I don't want to say civilians, but you know, we have seen quite a big use of these on the battlefield in modern day, as we speak, Ukraine. So there's no reason, if it kicks off on a wider basis, that it wouldn't, you know, they wouldn't be swarming through our towns. It's not beyond the realm of possibilities. Now, in terms of like thinking about survival strategies for this, and do let us know if you're coming up with anything, because this is why we're here. This isn't just about, oh, here's all the different ways that we're going to be unalived. That's not the point of these shows, guys. Right? The point of this show is that we start to understand what's out there, understand what the threats are, and we understand what we can then potentially do to mitigate those threats. This is the whole point of my methodology, if you like, of the more strategic approach to preparedness, because the more you understand about the threats, which is the whole reason I do things like the global threat analysis, right? The whole reason why my SHDF Intel page on sigmaprepper.com, links in description, shows you every threat that faces humanity right now in order, right? With a score, so you can see, because the more we understand what's most likely to happen, the more we can focus our efforts, focus our resources. None of us are rich. You already know I can't even afford to pay my internet bill. So it's about finding ways you can prepare without wasting money on things you didn't need to buy, wasting money on decisions that you shouldn't probably have made, and so on, right? And so the more you can know about what the real threats are and what the most likely things are going to happen is, the more you can actually have that in your mind with you and think about it when you're on the way to work. Think about it while you're walking around a shopping mall. That's what I do. Yeah. I mean, I am at work now, but you know what I mean? And when I'm walking Hugo Bear in the woods, right? And they're the things I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about all these things that you see me doing these shows about, right? All of the time. Yeah. And thinking, you know, if this happened, what would I do? Could I do that? But if you don't know what it might be happen, then how do you know how you would mitigate it? This is the point of the survival strategies. This is about how to survive World War III. That's what the chapter of my book is called, that all these shows are being pulled from. Right? So, survival strategies for this. In terms of swarm technology, apart from things like EMPs and stuff, and jamming, again, is like... Let me know live in the chat if you if you have some good ideas of what you would do in the event of like those little drones just swarming about all over you. Like, and don't forget, they don't have to be necessarily drones. We have got a dedicated category that will coming up in part 2 with robots and you know, exoskeletons and stuff like that, kind of robot soldiers, right? Because you've got drone level, the quadra bots, you know, where you got the dogs, Boston Dynamic dogs. Don't think that they can't come in swarms too, is all I'm saying, right? So, you got to be, and this is why we need to be thinking about each of these threats, each of these warfare tactics that we could very well see, and are likely to see the 5th and 6th generation warfare tactics more than we're going to be seeing the conventional warfare tactics, right? It's just kind of how it is. But yeah, so you can't, I'm not really into the idea of just hiding from things. I think it's much more difficult to hide than you think from the modern day drones, and swarm drones particularly will just be going brrr. Underground, hidden away completely is probably all you got. I'd like a cave with the properties as Flat Gap Gaming, innit? Definitely, if anyone's got a spare cave and a spare underground bunker, then we're up for it. I've got a design for an underground bunker already. Just need the budget, you know it is, right? But it's actually a community bunker. It's not just for me and Magic Hand and Mrs. Sigma Prepper and Hugo Bear and Sigma Prepper Jr. I'm talking like 36 pods is my design. Like a pizza slice. You get a pizza slice. I get a pizza slice. We all have a pizza slice. Definition. Sorry. Unmanned fighter jets and war robots. So this is the third and final subsection of autonomous weapons and drones, right? So unmanned fighter jets, we're talking like Chinese has come up with, and do they call that the 5th generation fighter, which America's still on their 4th, are they? I know that China's just come out with one and has basically put America to shame. So far ahead, it's not even funny. Scarily far ahead. It's definitely not funny, right? But this is what they're into. So AI controlled combat aircraft and robotic ground troops operating without direct human input. Now, we're going to get into some more detail in the other categories I said in part 2, but some of the things that are game changing with this is obviously the reactions to, you know, versus pilots and dogfights and stuff, right? And when you're talking full size, like, you know, proper decent jets and stuff, we're not talking little model drone things here now. We're talking full size F-15 looking things, right? That mean bidney, yeah? So war robots don't get fired, injured, or hesitant. They don't get a headache either. Or scared, yeah? They're always up for it. Let me at 'em, Uncle Scoob, yeah? Don't forget that, right? AI and robots and autonomous stuff, they're like, let me at it, Uncle Scoob. They're all about it, yeah? There's no hesitation from them. There's like, oh, is that a child? Is that a woman? Is she tidy? Is she not? Do you know what I mean? It's like, whoosh. It's bad news, man. There's no negotiating. There's no like, oh, if buts or maybes. It's just like, whoosh. If your ass is mine, your ass is mine, yeah? Scary stuff. XQ-58 Valkyrie, look that up, yeah? It's impressive. I want one. Control fighter jet support, because no one's going to be messing with me with one of them, yeah? It's like, don't make me get the Valkyrie on you. I'll open a can of Valkyrie on you. AI control fighter jet supporting manned aircraft. They just look so mean, some of these ones. Because the minute you're designing a jet that doesn't have to have a pilot in it, you can make it look mean as hell, right? You know, you don't need that silly bubble thing on for the pilot to sit in, right? Put it that way. Most of them are Delta wings, eh? Russia's Okonic stealth drone, they're pretty cool looking. Autonomous bomber complementing Su-57 fighters, and Su-57s mean bidney. Definitely check them out. And everyone knows the Boston Dynamics in it. So we like I said, we're going to touch on that. I had to have it in here because it's part of that autonomous weapons and drones, yeah. Jets and war robots. But we do have a category dedicated to, I'm talking like humanoid, soldier, robot dog type stuff, right? Fully autonomous again, yeah, no messing about. So that basically wraps up the autonomous weapons and drones, the 3 subcategories that we've got inside that for you. And then next up then is the AI driven cyber warfare, which is interesting stuff. Now this is happening big time right now, right? Please hit the like button if you can find it. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to vote in the live poll. Should I have a little sneaky peek and see what that's on at the moment? Lots of people think they've got a survival plan for AI and next-gen warfare tactics. We'll see about that as we get through it. Cheers, everyone. So how are we doing for time? We usually like to go for a break in about the midway hour mark. We call tea breaks there. Don't forget the first intro section is just to catch other people up who've never seen them before, where we're talking about the conventional 4th, 5th, 6th generational warfare tactics so they even know what we're talking about. So, we'll be all right. Let's bust through it then. AI-driven cyber warfare, which is a big one, right? So here we are. Category 2. AI-driven cyber warfare. AI is now automating cyber attacks, making them more sophisticated, autonomous, and difficult to counter. These tactics can cripple entire nations by disrupting infrastructure, financial systems, and communication networks. Now, I talked about this at the very beginning when I was wrapping up kind of what 6th generation warfare tactics look like. And it looks like things like AI to AI warfare, right? Where one AI is battling another autonomously and we don't really know what's going on between them, but they're doing it, right? So this sort of is going to be in this part significantly. So here we go then. This has broken itself up into these 3 categories as I saw fit. If anyone else can come up with a better way to categorize the way I do these things, and please let me know, but I usually sketch it out 10, 15 times over until I settle for how I can categorize it. So AI-powered hacking attacks. AI running cyber operations autonomously. I mean, these things can get out of control pretty quick, right? You get in a feedback loop and quantum hacking and AI encryption bypass. This is what I talked about earlier being such a critical thing, man, because we're already so close to that. Well, we're not. China's already so close to that with their quantum work, right? AI-assisted quantum computers breaking traditional encryption methods. Now, quantum computers aren't themselves AI, is important to know. AI is different to that. Quantum computers aren't very useful. Here's a news flash that you're not supposed to know, because it's supposed to be scary quantum computers. But they're really, really not very useful. If you understand the technology, it's not really a technology, really, is it? Oh, we're going to get philosophical now. But quantum computing isn't very useful for many things. You can't surf the internet with it. You can't, it's not even that good at like mining crypto. It's not like that. But there's certain things that it is really good at. Yeah. And cracking like super hardcore encryption is one of the things it's particularly good at. But because it can't do anything else, when you combine that with AI, you see what I mean? It's like getting it on fentanyl and steroids at the same time, and a kick up the arse, right? So quantum hacking and AI encryption bypass. See you later. Yeah. Let me in by the hair of my chinny chin chin. AI-assisted quantum computers breaking traditional encryption methods instantly. Deepfake-assisted espionage. Now, we did touch on this when we talked about the psychological and information warfare, because, of course, deepfakes and manipulation in the media of particularly citizens to give them hope that their country's winning and things like this, right? We talked about the similar things with the manipulations and using deepfakes. So you can see the overlaps, right? So AI-generated identities infiltrating intelligence communities. But we're not so much talking about the psychological and information warfare tactics. It's more the sorts of things that corporations, governments, and things like play out on citizens, right? So this is different, because the deepfake-assisted espionage we're talking about here is we're talking about like pretending to be the general and telling someone to go and push that button over there or some shit. Like call them up on Skype and say, all right, dude, it's General Matey Boy here. Do us a favour, would you? You know what I mean? That kind of shit. I know it sounds stupid, but lich. So let's break it down. Starting off with AI-powered hacking attacks then. So the definition of that really is the AI-driven hacking tools capable of autonomously identifying vulnerabilities and launching cyber attacks. So this isn't just like sitting there doing nothing. This is constantly trying to find vulnerabilities in your adversaries' networks or data centers or encryption, communication lines and so on, right? And it's just constantly banging on the door, trying to find any other door, right? God, I wish there's so many things I wish I could tell you out loud. It's so frustrating. I do apologize. I'm having to concentrate so much on this show. It's almost as bad as the psychological and information warfare. There's so much we can't talk about. And it's such cool stuff that I wish everyone could know. Anyway, I'm just hoping that people can take some of the things I'm showing like they should have done the psychological and information warfare one and put it through things and find out more, and you'll see what I'm talking about, right? So this is why it's a game changer. AI analyzes data faster than human hackers, making cyber intrusions nearly instantaneous. AI can self-learn and adapt, creating new exploits in real time. I mean, just you ain't getting up against it. I'm telling you, man. AI is all about it. AI is let me at 'em, Uncle Scoob. So examples of this kind of ting, and like I say, just because it's 6th generation and next generation warfare doesn't mean it's not happening now. That's the point. It's happening now. I'm giving you examples of all these things for a reason. Yeah, this isn't like hypothetical shit. You can see how frustrating it is for me. You see people just walking about doing nothing, and there's like World War III looks like it's like potentially kicking off, right? And these are the things that bother me all day, every day. Deep Locker, right? DARPA AI malware, AI-driven cyber weapon that only activates against specific targets. And we've all heard of DARPA, come on. Yeah. I think it's a bit of an insult, 43 people live, isn't it? I hope you've all hit the button. Yeah. This would be about a $30,000 production for a media company to put on and write and design. And of course, I'm not being paid anything. I haven't been paid by YouTube for 3 months. I'm on fumes, man. So it's really annoying when YouTube holds it back from so many people. It was locking us down at 25. I think it's trying to lock it down at 50 now. That's what YouTube does. It usually only does it if you're new. This channel has been going 3 years with shows like this regularly, and I can't rustle up more than 1,400 subscribers, apparently. It's amazing, isn't it? Anyway, AI worms, autonomous viruses that evolve to bypass security patches before they're released, right? That's how quick they are. Because, of course, you know, you're always like, oh, you have to pay subscription to your antivirus. Otherwise, you know, you're not going to get the latest releases. But even if you're paying the sheets and you're getting the latest releases, AI's like already been there, done that. Yeah. Before, you know, your AVG is sucking up the new juice. So Russia and China's AI cyber units, automated hacking, probing US and European networks daily. And of course, you can see that anytime you want. The problem with this, though, that a lot of people won't tell you, is that something like 80% of the hacking traffic comes from America, not Russia and China. But what people do, if you know what you're doing as a hacker, and this is where it gets tricky, I can't get into too much with you. Let's just say, if you know what you're doing as a hacker, right, the first thing you're doing is you're setting your, obviously you're using a VPN so that the IP address resolves to Moscow or some stupid shit. Second thing you're doing is you're setting your time code on your PC to be Moscow time. Third thing you're doing is you're setting up your keyboard mode on your desktop to be Russian keyboard. Do you get my drift? So when they talk about like, oh, Russia hackers, oh, China hackers, no. What they typically do is when they say, oh, it was resolving from Thingbo. If a government ever tries to tell you they know who was hacking them, walk away, they're lying. It doesn't work like that, right? Oh, it was Russia. Yeah, because it was a Russia keyboard. It was a Russia IP address and it was a Russia time zone on the PC. Was it? Oh, right. Yeah, I get you. Well, that's the first thing any hacker who knows what they're doing does. God, it's so annoying. Don't fall for it, right? 80% of the hacking traffic originates from where? Yeah, us. Not them. Amazing. We just make it look like it's coming from them. Obviously. It's pathetic. So anyway, quantum hacking. This is an interesting one. Again, it's tricky because it's proper sort of emerging tech, and it's tricky as well because China's so ahead of the game. America is pooing its pants. And rightfully so. And that's not the only thing China's outdoing America on at the moment, as obviously most people know. If you've seen what's been going on recently with the panic stations with China's new AI systems, they're releasing free open source. It's not China's anyway, but people from China who are fucking switched on. Yeah. Because they've grown up in a country where they actually give a fuck about education, give a fuck about transport, give a fuck about prosperity, right? So is it a surprise that they're making better AI than we are? Probably not. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, AI working with quantum computers to break traditional encryption methods in seconds. You know, you're talking like 256K, 256-bit encryption and stuff like that, right? Quantum decryption makes current cybersecurity obsolete. Yeah, look at that word, obsolete. And we're not talking like normal cybersecurity here. We're talking like Israel level. If you know anything about cybersecurity, you know who's the boss in that, and it's Israel, right? The boss. AI guided. If you own cyberspace, right, and information in it, believe me, you own everything else. Why do you think they are what they are? That's all I'm saying. AI guided decryption algorithms can instantly crack high level security systems. High level. So do you know what I mean? We're not talking your AVG and your Norton antivirus here. We're talking like proper, or like someone's website. Yeah. This is proper game-changing stuff, right? That you ain't competing with. Yeah. If they decide they're having you, they've had you. And you just got to roll over and ask for it again. Just hope they use lube next time. Yeah. So examples of that then. See what I'm talking about? I'm getting examples of all of these for you just to prove that these things are happening now. It's not future shit. Be worried, yeah? China's quantum AI labs, yeah? As I said, claim breakthroughs in cracking RSA encryption in minutes. Way ahead of the game. NSA quantum computing programs, US building post-quantum cryptography defenses. So it's like, you know, the counter to that. Trying to be quantum AI cyber espionage. So you got governments using now. I've removed the name of that one when I've mentioned the NSA on that one, and I've mentioned the China's quantum AI labs on that one. So that's all I'm going to tell you, so that you can guess whose is the bottom one. Now, when it comes to, you know, when it comes to survival strategies, and again, if anyone wants to chime in the live chat, that's the whole point of tonight's show. Otherwise, I might as well just record this and edit it and make it all look perfect and script it and shit. But I don't. I do it live for a reason, so you can all chat about it in the chat. That's a lot of reason why people come back and watch it again and really concentrate on the show, because when they're in the live chat, it's difficult, right? So they just go at it and then share information, and then they can watch it again after the show. So even though it will be live, it's live now. When the show ends, you'll still be able to watch it. It'll be on the channel, unless I've said a bunch of stuff that you're not supposed to know. But we'll soon find out. If the show's not there to rewatch, don't worry. I'm looking for the chat window. Where is it? It's here. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with me. I really appreciate you guys. Look at Paul C in the house. Paul C is such a top geezer, man. Great show so far. We've no hopes. Dog up on Lube. Oh, you absolute superstar. Talk about comment of the night so far. Thank you so much. I love you, man. He's such a geezer. Bertie, shit's keeping it real. Got to be done. Love, peace, and progress. To the Wolfpack. Thank you for sharing this time with me, everyone. Yeah. Yummy. That's cold and it's running out, so don't worry, everyone. We're getting to a break soon. So survival strategies, yeah, let us know if you've got anything you want to talk about that, because, you know, to be honest, Norton antivirus ain't going to cut it, right? I think you appreciate that. You know, there's things like decentralized storage systems that you can look into. People talk about Web3, right? Nah. Anyone tells you about, oh, the internet will be so much better if we go to Web3, which is like a crypto blockchain based. But it's not. If people say that, they don't understand the blockchain. They don't understand the technology of the blockchain, how it actually works when you're talking about Web3 based. No, it's a routing system. It's not a storage system. You can't store anything in it. You can't store images, graphics, PNGs on the blockchain. It doesn't work like that. So even having decentralized things is not going to protect you from these quantum type, and you'll see all this is about quantum type stuff. There is not really any defense. There's not really any defense to it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to be defeatist or anything, but I'm just saying, you know, what am I looking for? Sorry, everyone. My chat window's just gone funny again. I watched the 3 Angels episode of the 1975 television show Survivors last night. I don't know what that's got to do with what we're talking about here. Have I missed a load of stuff? Sorry. Yeah, look, petroleum jelly has a lot of uses in the world. Yeah, absolutely. Especially as lube as well, when you know they're coming to give you a you-know-what, you-know-what. So, I'm not quite sure where the technology is with the protection against quantum computers. I mean, you know, they're trying to, but like I say, there is some element of blockchain security that can help. But again, you're, you know, with distributed ledgers and stuff like that, but you are restricted in what you can do with that, how you can use it. It's not, you know, militaries already use compartmentalized and redundant communication systems. Do you know what I mean? They don't just have one connection method. They don't have one communication method. There's multiple. To be honest, that's about all you're doing for survival strategies for that, right? So next up in that cyber-driven warfare then touches a little bit on what we talked about several weeks ago in the psychological and information warfare tactics that I went over in great length at like 90 slides or whatever it was, episode 5 of Warzone Wednesday. So there's a bit of overlap here. But what we're talking about is the AI-generated fake voices and stuff, you know, images, like I was saying before about, you know, like you have an AI version of the general giving orders to someone, but it's obviously not really him. Yeah. spread misinformation and things as well, yeah. And so the reason that's a game changer is because it's so bloody convincing, right? Look, most of you must have seen some of the AI videos floating around. I've shown you a couple just to get you introduced to it over the couple of years, you know. The little singing cat and that cat chopping up the carrots and all that, yeah, those the types of things, just to show you where it's at. I was showing you the deepfakes 3 years ago, I think it was, when that first one came out with George W. Bush. Do you remember that one? And then his face went all right, and he just went and there was a geezer sitting next to him just talking, and it's remapping his face to George Bush, just talking away, and it's literally him. And that was like maybe more than that, 4 years ago, was it? 5 years ago? You'll let me know in the chat. Some of you have been following me through previous channels that got spanked before, I would say it. But yeah, so deepfake AI can bypass human verification, fooling people into giving access to classified systems. Think as well things like biometrics, right? It includes that, because a lot of the biometrics, include facial recognition, stuff like that, right? Synthetic identity fraud, allow AI to create fake employees, military officers, or spies. There's been situations of this already with businesses saying that they've had people working for them that they've never met before, and they realise that they're a fucking AI character. So examples of the deepfake assisted espionage, right? And again, I have to be careful with some of the things that I tell you about here, but here's some things I think are probably safe to tell you about. You might know about some of these, but the AI deepfake CEO scam. The criminals use a deepfake voice to trick a company into basically wiring 243 bags of sand. I don't know if you heard of any of these, right? But it's classic, man. I've followed these like over the years because you can extrapolate when you understand the technology and you understand some of the ways it's already been used and some of its capabilities. If you're creative-mindedly enough, if you're autistic enough, you'll come up with so many different things that could happen with that, right? And so this is why I would like to pull these out for you, because I'm hoping that it will help you to start to see examples of how it's been used already, and perhaps how it could be used either against you or your country, or, do you know what I mean? Or your leadership, unawares. And, you know, I don't want any of the wolf pack to be unawares about anything, right? That's why we're here, right? So fake generals and diplomats. I mean, I joked about this like years ago. I did a show dedicated, not on this channel, I did a show dedicated to AI, what if AI take over the world it was. And I was explaining in great detail about how AI actually works in terms of the neural network and what the parameters are when they talk about 7 billion parameters, you know, what they actually are. It was quite detailed. And this was way before ChatGPT and all that kind of stuff, right? But I was saying then about how it would be used. I was arguing that I was asserting my philosophy and theory at the time, which was that I didn't feel like the way that AI would take over the world would be like in Terminator, I think was the example I used. I was like, I don't really believe, my logical mind doesn't come to that conclusion. That's illogical. Because the AI is not going to use a robot to bash you over the head to take over the world, right? Because it doesn't need to. Because the minute AI, super intelligence I'm talking about, not just what we've got now with large language models and things like this. I'm talking full on, and not just AGI, yeah, artificial general intelligence, but we're talking ASI, artificial super intelligence, right? I'm going to do a show dedicated to that for you guys, because you got to know this. But the point is that once you get to that point, the first thing the AI is going to figure out is that humans can be lied to. The first thing it's going to figure out is that humans can be fooled, right, and tricked. And if it's super intelligent, then clearly it's going to know that, right? So why does it need to bash you over the head with a spanner to get you to do something? It's like, no. It can just manipulate you. This was the example I gave years ago, and it's funny it's here now when it's all coming together and it's actually real now, right? Is that it doesn't need to. It can just trick you into doing stuff. It can just, I don't know, cool. And people have had this, you know, with all the 11 Labs that does the voice mapping, right? People have already had, like, their parents have been scammed where They've mapped the person's voice and they've called the person's mother to say, oh, it's me, I'm in trouble, can you send me like 5 grand, blah, 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 or whatever. But it's not. Someone's mapped this girl's voice and called the mum pretending it's her, asking her for money, saying she's in trouble, and she just sent the money. And it was never her, right? And so it's already happening. But this was my theory back then. It was like, it doesn't need to bash you over the head with a spanner. It don't take over the world like that. It can just convince someone to do something by doing shit like that. And it can just be talking to you as video, real time, right? So it's bad news, man. You ain't... So voice cloning and espionage, yeah? So, look at that. We're going to be getting to a break soon. I'm really looking forward to it. Because my tea is so cold and out, it's not even funny. Right, so deepfakes and disinformation coming up, right? So far, autonomous weapons and drones. We've done the 3 tactics within that. You see how we're going, right? Deepfake and disinformation warfare. And I hope you're appreciating my efforts because this show's taken me so long to write, let alone put it together. It took me 3 days just to put it together. I don't know how long it took me to write this chapter in my book of like how to survive World War 3. You can imagine if you watch the last 5 episodes of what I've done here and you imagine what I've done in that book and what I'm pulling this from, it's like... Anyway, and that's just one of 20 chapters in the book, yeah. Deepfake and disinformation warfare. So I do hope you appreciate my efforts because no one's paying me to do any of this. And I don't even have a full-time job. This is it. And YouTube's keeping me down at 1,400 subscribers and I was only monetized for the last 2 months. And I'm only just going to be able to get paid next month and I haven't been paid since November. Any money. I've been on fumes. And now Mrs. Sigma Prepper is also on fumes because she's been propping me up and now she can't. So I'm sorry, guys. If I go and disappear and you never see me again, you'll know why, what happened. So deepfake and disinformation warfare. AI-generated misinformation is already shaping political landscapes, media narratives, and global conflicts. These tactics are used to destabilize society, sow division, and fabricate reality itself, right? Are you with me? Now, this was... This goes into detail, like I said, and the cyber warfare, I'm just skipping back, sorry, slide 38, right? Keep an eye on the slide so you see what I'm doing now. I just went back. So you got deepfake assisted espionage is part of the cyber warfare, right? Now, in itself, in the same way as category 6, we've got the robotics and autonomous soldiers, which we've touched on in the autonomous weapons and drones at the top. We've got its own category of deepfakes and disinformation, right? Because it's a big one. So this is how I have to bust it down for you, right? So, slide 41. So I'm just concerned that I'm losing people because this is a complicated topic as it is, and it was even more complicated when it came to me trying to figure out how I'm going to categorize it all for you. So just let me know if you think I've done it okay or not, because if not, then maybe I'll do it differently in my book. It's not too late to change. AI generated political leaders and speeches, right? So this is different from what we were talking about with using it to get through to military tactic. This is more fake public figures issuing fabricated war declarations, you know what I mean? So you've got synthetic social media manipulation, AI-driven bot armies shaping public narratives, right? We talked about that in a bit more detail in the psychological and information warfare tactics episode. It was about, was it 100 slides or was it 90 slides long or something? Which is epic. I'm surprised it's even still up there. I haven't been taken down yet, but go and check that one out. Episode 5 that was. This is episode 6. So fake war footage and synthetic events. I've seen loads of that rocking about right now with the Ukraine stuff, right? And even when that first kicked out, right? Do you know what? This channel got a strike that got taken off when I disputed it. The first strike I ever got was when Russia went into Ukraine on February, whatever it was in 2023, was it? Whenever they went in, right? I mean, I was on it because I was up at like 4 o'clock in the morning UK time, which was like one of my mates, Urban Harvesting, who's a subscriber to this channel. He lives in Australia. And so their time zone, he was awake right on it. He was like, dude, Russia's just gone into Ukraine. And I reported on it straight away. I was one of the first people out there giving it the beans and giving the deets, spilling the tea. Yeah. And I called out on Twitter, I called out fake footage live in my video saying, well, that don't make sense because it's like fucking winter time and it's snow everywhere. So how come this has got tanks rolling down? It's fucking green grass and green leaves on the trees. Come on. Critical thinking, guys. And I called it out and they gave me a strike because I was showing misinformation. I was like, and my dispute was, no, I was telling people that the first thing lost in war is the truth, and so to question everything, because as I just noticed there, how can that be real? This is how careful you got to be. If you're not critical thinking enough, or you're not about the details like I am, yeah, then and I'm abnormal like that, right? People tell me all the time that my attention to detail shit like this is like autistic levels, and I get it. So I don't expect people, but when we're talking about something so significant as like fucking global conflict, you really gotta be putting more effort into figuring shit out, man. Anyway. So, definition then, AI generated political pages. AI created fake political figures or leaders making fabricated statements, policies, or war declarations. I'll show you some examples in a minute. Not show you, but I'll talk about some. Why it's a game changer. So AI deepfakes have got to such a level now, right? It's now indistinguishable from real videos. And the video as well, just amazing. The face mapping stuff, I've got to start playing around with it because I need to bring Tia back anyway. She's already rocking and rolling in the background doing stuff. For those that don't know, Tia is my tactical intelligence system, which is my own AI system that I've developed and have been writing. This is in C++ code. That's the voice synthesis system of it. I'm going to be doing a live in the labs with that actually, because I'm going to do some updates and I want to show you what actually is going on inside her. Yes, it's a her. Tia. So, it's getting pretty good, right? Misinformation can spread before being debunked, influencing critical events. It's the speed of AI that's so critical, right? The speed of it. It's like whoomph. And it responds whoomph as well. So some examples of some of the fake stuff, right? Let me know if you've seen of these live in the chat, or if you've got any good examples that you can share live in the chat. And if you're watching this afterwards, in the comments, you know the score. While you're there, hit the like button. And if you're live, I hope you've voted in the live poll, because it's criminal not to. So, fake Volodymyr Zelensky deepfake. Did you see that one? 2022, right? AI generated video falsely announcing Ukraine's surrender. It was really, I can't say it was funny, sorry, but it was. AI fake Biden speech, that was classic. Deepfake video manipulating US election sentiments. Rightfully so. China's AI generated news anchors. Yeah, fully. Have you seen them? I did show people them years and years ago, not on this channel, and it was impressive then, right? I come from a media production background back in the day, right? So I really appreciate shit like that. And they've had that nailed down for ages, man. And it's pretty convincing. And Chinese culture, they have their own favourite ones. And these aren't even real people. They're like lich. Fucking, you know, AI generated, yeah? So in terms of survival strategies, I mean, I've already given you one. Attention to detail, right? And again, most of the fake AI... One of the why some people, when it comes to this kind of stuff, there's a thing called the uncanny valley. I've talked about it before. The uncanny valley is something, if you work in AI or you work in, for me, it is things like media production, 3D design and things like that I do. And uncanny valley is where something doesn't look right. It's a bit creepy. Do you know what I mean? When you've got something that sort of like looks a bit human, but it's just a little bit something about it. It's a little bit, ooh, that's the uncanny valley. It's a valley because it's believable, and it suddenly goes into this weird place where it's like, oh, it's creeping me out. I told the story about Toy Story. When Toy Story was originally designed, they trialed it with kids where the cartoons and Andy, the young lad, in Toy Story, the rendering was done much more realistic to look more like a real human rather than like the cartoony style that it ended up being. Because when they screen tested it with young children, they were like creeped right out by it. But when they toned it back and they made it clearly not real, yeah, like blatantly cartoony not real, that uncanny valley kind of went away. So there's a sweet spot. Now, I'm really sensitive to that because it's my job when I'm doing things like visual effects and things like that. You're making it. So, of course, I'm the one who's trying to put extra shadows in there and make sure the light matches what the ambient environmental light would have been if I'm going to put something into a scene that's 3D, for example. I'll have my own uncanny valley that's much more sensitive because I'm trying to make it look real, because I'm trying to deceive the viewer, right? So as a video special effects, if you're doing a car going boo, right, then you're trying to convince the watcher of that movie that it has actually, but it's not. It's just a fire effect, and there's that fire's got to light up the thing over the road, or it don't look real. So that uncanny valley is really important. But the AI characters, I find the corners of the mouths, if you look at the corners of the mouths, if they go dark right in these bits here and they're talking, it's an AI character. Go and check it out and you'll see what I mean. Watch the corners of their mouths. If they're going dark all the time, then you know. So let's get into the synthetic social media manipulation, which is a completely different thing, right? This is more bridging into what we talked about in the psychological and information warfare tactics series 5 of episode 5 of this series. So AI-driven bot armies amplifying false narratives to shape public perception and manipulate elections, protests, and opinions, stuff like this. So we're seeing this going on all over the place. Isn't it funny the way YouTube's trying so hard to cap this live stream at 50? It's not even funny. I'm sorry, YouTube. I know I'm causing your AI some problems trying to hold this channel back tonight. But thank you everyone for sharing this video. It's busted it through. I do appreciate it. And if you've just joined us, please do share this video too. Get your friends and family involved, because we all need to know this stuff, right? Now, this is powerful stuff. And this isn't just like Russia and China. It's just like, oh, we're all doing this now, right? It's happening now. There's a lot of, you know, AI can auto-generate millions of fake accounts to simulate public opinion, and this is also known as astroturfing. Remember I talked about that, right? Where you're manufacturing public consent. Manufactured consent. It's essentially like, because of the Ash conformity experiment, if anyone knows about that, you should do, if you're in this space. But the Ash conformity experiment, and if you're a Sigma, is where you would, you know, this is the point of the Sigma personality, is the fact they don't go along with the herd, right? They don't want to rule anyone or be ruled by anyone. They just want to get on with their own shit and be self-reliant and self-sufficient and work on their skill set and knowledge, right? And not rely on anyone else. And what was he even talking about? I'm worried about it being break time and I'm going right off topic. Am I going off topic, or are we on topic? I should check the chat as well, by the way, because I don't know what's going on in there. If there's no super chats going on, it doesn't get my attention, and some people just like me to bang through it. I haven't had an ad today. No, God forbid I ever get paid for my work, innit? Servers are working overtime. So anyway, let's bang through, because I'm gagging for a cup of tea, and I'm sure you are as well. Uncanny Valley, stuff like that, yeah. The bots that are in there, manufacturing consent, astroturfing, yeah. The Ash conformity experiment, essentially, where people like to go along with the crowd, and if they're watching a video and they go and look in the comments of some political shit, and there's loads of bots in there that people don't know are bots, but there's loads of things going, yeah, what Hillary said, yeah, what Biden said, yeah, what Thingy Bob said. You're manufacturing. That's part of that astroturfing, where the grass looks green on that side, but it's fucking not even real grass. Do you know what I mean? It's fake grass. And so that's kind of what we're talking about here, with the bots that are in there manufacturing consent amongst the civilians, because they're convincing people that everyone else is looking and thinking that and has that opinion. Oh, look at Della. That's the second super chat, honey. Really appreciate it. West Virginia Sultan Prepper as a genius. He's a genius and watching. Who's a genius and watching? Don't know. Sorry. I can't see anyone by that name in the live chat. But thank you so very much, Della. I really appreciate you. Knowing you know. Don't know, sorry, I'm not following, but thank you so very much, Del. I really appreciate your support, keeping the lights on, the internet nearly just about connected. Anyway, examples of such things. I've got to be careful what I list here for you, because you know why. they're all doing it. But Russia troll farms, AI-powered bot networks, swaying elections, narratives in the US and Europe, allegedly. Right? Well, I have to put that in there because China's social media manipulation, automated accounts suppressing Hong Kong protests. I talked about that in 2019 because that was part of what I thought 2020 was about before it became more about it. And it was like, I thought, oh, I wonder if it's coming out of China because of all the shit going down in Hong Kong at the moment with all the protesters, all the umbrellas. Remember that? Right? That was like December 2019. I thought it was connected for about the first month through January. And I thought, oh no, this is something else. And then I created the virus prediction tool algorithm and gave it away free to the public. It's on my website now, sigmaprepper.com/survival gear. And you'll see in there the ultimate virus prediction tool. It's open source. It's a super highly complex algorithm I put together for everyone. I gave it away free in January of 2020 before most people even knew what it was. It's a prediction tool. Put all your put your numbers in there of what any virus you want, and it will tell you exactly who's going to be by when. Anyway, again, I never charged anyone for that. It was like everything I do is like pretty much given away for free. Synthetic social media manipulations, the Russian troll farms, we all know about that. The China social media manipulation, the Twitter export armies, 2023. Yeah, that was going epic, and so as it was on all sides. There was some business going on YouTube as well with it in the comments during that time. So that was an interesting time. And that was kind of before things got really rocking with the way that AI bots are in. Don't forget, this is specifically AI automated, not like lich, you know, manual 77th Brigade style. Do you know what I mean? Not that they're manual entirely. Fake war footage and synthetic events. Yeah, everyone's would have seen these. And if not, you probably didn't know it was. AI generated videos and images creating fake battlefield events, riots on Terra. As my thing crashed again, it has. Just reload. Sorry. Okay. AI generated So AI can simulate entire war events that never happened. Yeah, which is interesting. Like, and I've seen some. And what I referred to earlier was, you know, in like 2022 when Russia first went in, or 2023, sorry, was it? And I reported it in that morning, and I was saying about the snow wasn't there and there was green leaves, so it couldn't have been February. It must have been stock footage. So that's one thing, but just literally creating content out of thin air is what AI is able to do now, right? I mean, anyone who's used Midjourney, anyone who's even used ChatGPT to make an image, you'll see what I mean, right? Gemini, they all do it. Like diffusion, this is called diffusion. That's where, you know, it's the neural network method is a diffusion-based algorithm versus large language model. It's a different thing, but it starts off noise and then it tries to figure it out into something. Anyway, so it's getting pretty good. You don't need to manipulate people by showing them old shit. You can just make it out of nothing. Misinformation spreads faster than factual corrections, right? Because it's all like amazing and everyone's like, oh man, share it. It's like, unlike what people do with my videos, they don't even share it to anyone, ever. Thank you to those that have. Thank you to that one person who did. But yeah. And this is why, you know, certain people do really well on the internet, right? Let's just say, and got mega followings, because rather than just tell you the truth and rather than be realistic about it, rather than be giving people a reality check, rather than giving them a bullshit story to try and get them to buy their new fucking mountain house, 25 year supply, whatever, right? That's probably why none of mine go viral, because I was always cringed at shit like that. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, full spectrum survival. Anyway, deepfake disinformation warfare, fake war footage and synthetic events. So here's some examples: doctored footage from Ukraine war. Bosh. It was 2022. AI enhanced fake missile attacks and false flag operations. False US war crime videos, deepfake propaganda aimed at inciting global outrage, yeah. Synthetic protest videos, AI creating protests that never occurred to fabricate civil unrest, yeah. This, to be honest, is all kind of rocking right now. As I keep saying, these aren't things that are going to happen in the future. These are in play today, yeah. Are you with me? This isn't like, you know, conspiracy theory. This is shit that's live, being played out between America, China, Russia. Yeah. And in terms of survival strategies, I mean, what are you doing about that? Yeah. Checking timestamps and weather conditions, like I always saying to people. You know, it's like, it gets beyond that. Yeah. You know, there's things like reverse image search that you can do and see where that image originally was. You can upload a video, an image, to Google, and there's a reverse image search and things you can do. But apart from that, because it's not just about, even if you think it's a genuine source that you're getting your information from, that source itself could have been done in by the AI, right? This is why it's so unpredictable. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. Slide 47, hitting slide 48, and guess what? We're at the halfway mark. Well, it's a bit more the halfway mark because obviously the first section, first 15 slides, getting people warmed up, right? Getting people buckled up. So we're going to be doing our 5-minute tea break. Don't you dare even think about going anywhere out of my sight. Right, hold on, let's have one more sip and then we've got to buckle up and stop messing about. Cheers, everyone. Right, let's do it. Bosh. 6 categories of tactics so far. If you're just joining us, don't worry about it. You can continue from here in, but this will be available for you to watch after it's been live, so no need to panic. But this is what you missed. Here's what you could have won. Autonomous weapons and drones we covered. In there was 3 different versions of tactics involved in that. That's how we categorised for those that are just joining us. I personally saw it fit to break into... It's just because I think aesthetically it looks good as 6. You'll notice the psychological and information warfare episode, I made that 6 as well, but I just like 6. No, it's not some Illuminati thing. It's a design thing. Really, 3s and 5s and things are supposed to be good for design if you're doing candles on the mantelpiece. But anyway, moving on. It's 7 because you got the break. But anyway, so you missed that. The AI-driven cyber warfare was an interesting one. You missed that. Deepfakes and disinformation, that was another really interesting one, and we did a lot of that in the last episode, number 5, talking about psychological and information warfare. You missed that. 5-minute tea break, don't know if you missed that, but now, what you're not going to miss is AI-powered electronic and space warfare. AI and nuclear decision-making. What, are you crazy? Yeah, they are. AI robotics and autonomous soldiers, including dogs chasing your ass through the countryside while you're trying to bug out and you got robot dogs chasing you down, man, with wheels. Anyway, so let's get into the first one then. This is how we're cracking it down for those that are just joining us and don't understand how I've categorized and subcompartmentalized the topics, right? So this is the 4th category, and inside that are more categories, right? Subcategories. So the next battlefield isn't just on Earth, it's in cyberspace and outer space, right? So we did touch on this a little bit on EMP, remember? We did electromagnetic warfare as a dedicated episode 4 maybe. Good one, that. If you're a prepper, which you probably are if you're watching this, or just someone who gives a shit about staying alive if shit hits the fan, right, and doesn't want to end up around a fire eating squirrels on sticks, yeah? SigmaPrepper.com, check it out. It's basically the first thing that we'll say to you on the homepage, because that's the whole point, right? That's why we're here, because we don't want to end up around a campfire eating squirrels on sticks. There's the lyrics of my tune as well that I wrote, the countdown tune. Yeah. Anyway, AI-driven electronic warfare disrupts military operations, while AI-powered satellites control navigation, targeting, and global surveillance. Because we were talking about EMPs in that show before, and satellites and things came up in that. So that was a different form. That came under 5th dimensional warfare tactics, whereas this is more under the 6th next-gen warfare tactics, with this is non-physical form of satellite and space warfare, right? So rather than blowing stuff up, or we talked about China and things who've got those satellites that can like reach out and grab it, little rabbit. And like basically... China's got some satellites that are pretty gnarly, right? They just float about, and then when China hits the fucking red button, and believe me, it's red. Some fucking gold stars on it and shit. But it's red button, then they go, bosh, yeah, let's have that. And the satellite basically goes, you know, it swims along, right? Because, you know, it's water up there. It's not really space, right? Oh, fuck. Anyway, so it swims along. It swims along space and finds like American satellite and goes, oh, look at it. We're having you. And it literally reach out and grab it with a little arm and fucking longs it off into Earth's orbit. So it just burns up. Sorry about your luck. I mean, that's rude, isn't it? Right? That's physical. That's physical, like fucking up someone's satellites, right? Same as the EMP. What we're talking about here is like messing it up with like, you know, hacking it basically and going, nah, yeah, I'll have you. Anyway, AI-powered electronic space warfare. So this is how it's going to break down in this one. So those that are just joining this, because I always have to overcomplicate things because things are already super complicated. If you know a lot about a lot of shit, that it's difficult to like, how do you condense that down and put it into categories so people could actually follow you? Anyway, so this is in the category of AI-powered electronic space warfare, and within that there's three things, right? So the first one is AI-guided EMP and satellite attacks, right? So this is things like AI predicting and neutralizing key enemy infrastructure. So there's a difference between just doing it and it. The benefit of AI is it's really good at predicting vulnerabilities or identifying vulnerabilities or extrapolating data. If it gets enough of it, it can extrapolate data and predict where it's going to be or what it's going to do. And so when you combine that with EMP and satellite bidney, yeah, and you know, let's not mess about, right? The West particularly relies so heavily on their satellite networks, relies so heavily on their surveillance system, satellite-based and communications, that any country that starts gnarling about with someone's satellites and they bust it through with like the quantum level bypass methods we talked about in a previous category before the break in part 1, yeah? When you start combining that shit as well, and it's like, nah, we'll have that satellite and we'll use that, and they won't just long it off. They'll just hack into it and cut America out, and they'll just be able to use it themselves as their own satellite and go, oh, cheers for that. Fucking hell, cha-ching. Taxed. Space-based AI combat networks, let's have it. AI operating autonomous space defense and attack satellites. Oh man, I wonder if we'll get a light display. You know, like, you know, maybe Elon Musk will like chime in and go, here, I'll hold my beer, right? Hold my beer. I'll just drive all my Starlink satellites and just like steer them to go and fuck up all China's satellites or something. Who knows, right? Maybe. If I've just thought of it, I'm sure Elon has. Cheers, everyone. But anyway, who knows what countries are going to resort to, and corporations whose countries demand that they assist because it's a matter of national security. You know what I mean? I can just imagine. So AI-controlled energy weapons, so directed energy weapons and stuff, so you like lasers and EMPs, electromagnetic pulse weapons, right? Either high-altitude nuclear, EL1, EL2, EL3 level burst. Again, you got to watch out the electromagnetic pulse dedicated episode I did. I think it was episode 4. Really good one that people were telling me, because I went into so much detail about what a Faraday cage actually needs to be, talked about the mathematics and physics involved, and worked it out live for you to show you exactly how big hole you can have given a certain frequency, hence the EL1, EL2, EL3 frequencies of pulse that's emanated from an electromagnetic pulse weapon. You need to secure your devices and things against all three frequencies, and there's a formula that I gave you that you can work it out. It works out about 3 centimeter hole max. Anyway, that kind of shit. So let's bust straight into it then with the first one out of these three, the AI-guided EMP and satellite attacks. Right, and this is how this goes down. So the definition of that is AI-powered electromagnetic pulse strikes and satellite warfare aimed at disabling enemy infrastructure. So this is more like, you know, like jamming it and crashing it and stuxnetting it, if you know what I mean, right? This version of non-physical sabotage of your opponent's key infrastructure, space-based. version space. AI-controlled EMPs can selectively shut down power grids, communication networks, and military equipment. They've got some pretty sophisticated shit now, where it's actually directional. If you know what you're doing with EMP, you can be quite clever about the pulse, not just the frequencies, as I've discussed in the dedicated show about it, but in the directionality of it, because typically it goes off in all directions as any normal explosion would, from the center out. And sometimes you're losing a lot of energy going in a direction you don't want it. And if you can focus that energy in one direction, they're kind of working on that, and the yield that they need is much less to generate the same level of like gigawatt per square fucking millimeter levels of shit for a lesser yield. Anyway, I don't want to get too technical because that's more the other episode. So, you know what I mean. So autonomous, that's what I mean about selectively shutting down power grids, communication networks, and it would decide itself what's most strategically advantage, what's going to give us the most leverage, what's going to be the best force multiplier. That's what it will shut down first. That's what it will destroy first. That's what it will scramble, and that's what it will EMP first. So you've got autonomous satellite AI can target enemy surveillance and GPS systems instantly. Remember, we were talking about that with hacking and the cyber hacking and stuff with the quantum level security bypass systems, where you can just like it said, you know, like modern day fucking security encryption is obsolete in the face of that, including satellites. So examples of that would be the China's AI-controlled space warfare systems. They've already got that drilled down. AI-driven satellites designed to disrupt enemy GPS and military comms. And that would include as well what I talked about with the physical part in the other episode of space, which is literally reaching out and grabbing it and longing it off and shooting it up. But you don't really want to shoot up satellites, to be honest, because the shrapnel comes off and then it's left up there and it can't go anywhere, and then it hits other stuff which breaks that off, and then that's like a network effect, a virus effect, you know, a cascade effect of... Anyone who's watched that movie, let us know live in the chat what that movie is with Matey Boy and Matey Girl, Sandra Bullock and fucking George Clooney. Yeah, I don't know what one that is. Browser's crashed again. Let me just hit the refresh button if I can even find the chat window. Is that the chat window? I think it was. Okay, back in Bidney. Sorry everybody, sorry for the delay. But I should just refresh that so I can actually see how things are and the stream's okay. Looks like it. Let us know what's going on in the chat and you're all happy and you know it, and clap your hands, hit the like button while you're there. Whoosh. Yeah, and vote in the live poll. US X-37B space plane, check that out, it's pretty cool. Military autonomous orbital platform conducting classified operations. Classified. Russia's Noodle ASAT system, AI-enhanced anti-satellite missiles capable of blinding enemy forces. Yeah, big time. So this is stuff that's rocking now, as I keep saying, right? This isn't like shit that's coming down the pike. This is in Bidney right now, right? Rocking about. So in terms of survival strategies, I mean, there's not much we can do about it, and there's not much they can do about it either. I mean, it's very difficult to harden satellites for a start, you know what I mean? By the very nature that they need to be light and efficient and things like that. And you can't just like start putting, you know, titanium like armor plating in them and shit like this and lead line it from EMP. And it's very difficult. I don't even know where to start in terms of survival strategies for... So let us know live in the chat what your thoughts are with this subcategory, the EMP and satellite attacks, because, you know, that's all of our, you know, you can guarantee that's our internet down a drain. Yeah, there's no more Netflix in it. Do you know what I mean? That's the fact. There's no more Sigma Prepper on YouTube. There's no more SigmaPrepper.com probably, even though my website is on my hosting server, which has got clients on it that fund itself, but it's a pretty high-end thing. I do web hosting through it. That's like 32 floors underground in a pretty elite data center I'm in. The SigmaPrepper.com website's on that, in that same server, along with my other interests. I don't know. The claim by that data center to me is that and cockroaches will be the only things running around this planet when it kicks off, right? But yeah, there's not a lot you can do in terms of survival strategy. Yeah, let me know what you think on that one. But I don't know if I had any notes on that. No. Apart from things like I say, Faraday cages and shielding, but it's way beyond that, you know, and having backup analog systems, because of course communications would go down the cell networks, although they don't rely on satellite, other things do. And so it's going to be taken out, it's going to be taken out. This is why I was gone about communications and having options, right, with Mesh-tastic, stuff like that. LoRa, low power, long range, sort of. And I recommend 433 or 315 megahertz. The lower the frequency, the more penetrating the wave will be, and you'll get longer distance, right? Versus 898, 920 megahertz is what I mean. But anyway, you know, ham radios and stuff like that, having alternative methods of communication. But again, ham radios have a limited range unless you're using repeaters and stuff. Did a massive show all about that. So yeah, you're not really got, you know, many options there. Let's just make sure everyone's happy in the chat. Mutually assured destruction, yeah. Tin can and string, good one, like it. That's why you need a hotspot. Nicely said, Robert. Yeah, the ultimate hotspot by Sigma Prepper, don't forget, is the backup internet system. When internet goes down, the grid goes down. It's like a Raspberry Pi thing. Shall I do a shameless plug? I think it's probably sitting here somewhere, is it? Have I got one here? Here we go. Here's my demo one. Yeah, the Sigma Prepper hotspot. In fact, there's a link in the description to it. There's in fact the VIP links. You get a major discount. It's just a velvet bag. Sorry. This is a full screen job. This is the hotspot. It's a Faraday bag, look. And in it is a small single board computer. And it's got Wi-Fi, the ultimate hotspot. Yeah? SigmaPrepper.com. You'll see it on the survival gear, right? But there's an SD card in there, 256 gigabyte, and you get a magnetic USB dongle, right? You basically plug it into your USB battery bank. It will last about 7 days constantly on that, and you only need to use it for a couple of hours a day, yeah? But basically, it's got the entirety of Wikipedia on it, 6.2 million pages with images. It's got the entire medical wiki. It's got the 60,000 books of Gutenberg. It's got all the forbidden knowledge with the SAS survival guides, the foraging guides, and everything you can imagine on there. And it's all searchable as well. So that's the ultimate hotspot. And even this is a backup USB cable. Look, snidey. That's how I roll. So that's the Sigma Prepper ultimate hotspot. For those that don't know what Robert's going on about, because he's a proud owner of one, and rightfully so. I'm glad I got mine, because if it hits the fan, I'm going to really miss not being able to look stuff up and figure out stuff, because you're not going to have the internet to do it, let's face it, and people take that for granted. They don't realise what life would be like when you can't look up the most basic shit. Fuck me. Like if you've hurt yourself or whatever it might be, or how to store your food or whatever it might be, or build a shelter or fix something, right? It's all there on it. It's amazing that I've managed to cram that into 256 gigabyte. I mean, that is a quarter of a terabyte, but cheers everyone. Thank you, Robert. Let us know live in the chat if you're a proud owner of a Sigma Prepper Ultimate hotspot. So, let's get into it then. Space-based AI combat network. So this is like AI-controlled orbital defense and attack systems that autonomously manage military assets in space. So this is, like I was saying, I joked about that with the Elon Musk thing. Coordinating things with AI so that they could, like, you know, the satellites in space can, you know, the options are endless. This is the point about AI. AI is known as a black box. You can see the input into it and you can see what comes out of it, but you can't really figure out what's going on in the middle of it. You can't look into it and see what it's going to do if you do that. It's like, no, you just got to do it and then see what it does. That's called alignment. Yeah. And so you don't know if it's aligned, because until you give it the instruction, you can't peer inside it. That's why technically it's considered a black box problem. Because inside it is basically just a neural network, and the neural network is just a bunch of different billions of parameters, and those parameters are just floating point numbers, and they've been incrementally changed through its training, right? The neural network, that's how you train it, for those who don't know. I'll do a whole show about it, but tonight's talking about AI, so fuck it. But that's basically what's going on. So you set it up with a task and say, okay, you know, this is how you train AI, basically. This is what these parameters are. The neural network, what the neural network is, yeah, is you say, right, I'm going to ask you a question and you're going to answer it, and I'm just going to tell you if you get it right or not. And so you've got an expected output, right? And you give it an input. And then if it gets it wrong, it knows it's got it wrong. And it's got a lot of parameters it can change to adjust things, yeah? A little bit like your TV controls, you know what I mean? To get the picture just right. You got your contrast, you got your brightness, you got your saturation, you know what I mean? You got the white balance and all these settings that you can do to get it right. And so what AI does when you're training it is it essentially, it keeps trying to get the right answer, and each time it doesn't quite get it right, it just adjusts a few of those dials, right, and then tries again, and it gets, oh, it's a bit closer, so adjust those dials again. It's doing it itself, do you see? And then it keeps doing it, and then it gets it right, and it's like, oh, fuck me, okay, so those dials all need to be like that, and those dials are the parameters, and each parameter is basically a floating point number, meaning, or, you know, like pi 3.14159, you know, as a decimal, a floating point number. And so each of those parameters is basically been adjusted in fine increments. You know, you're talking like 6.48658, you know, like 15 characters, 15 numbers long of tiny increment adjustment. And that's how you train it. And so the problem is that when you've got things like ChatGPT, which potentially are like 700 billion parameters, that's 700,000 million. Most people can't comprehend a million, yeah? Which is like a million seconds is 10 days. But a billion, yeah, is 32 years. So the difference between a million and a billion is like 10 seconds is a million, 10 days is a million seconds, but a billion seconds is fucking 32 years, man. And a trillion seconds is 32,000 years, to put it in perspective, of counting seconds. And so when you're talking 700 billion parameters that make up that neural network, that have all been incrementally trained by just throwing so much fucking crap at it, all the while it's twiddling these dials, getting it right, just a little bit more right, that one just a little bit more, and then it's bang on. Do you see? How do you look into that and say, oh, what are those parameters? Let's have a look at all those 700 billion fucking numbers and say, oh, well, that one's 6.485, that doesn't mean anything to a human. How do we know what that's going to do? And I'm really sorry, I wasn't going to get technically into it, but I just feel like we're doing AI, so let's just fucking talk about it. So for those that are interested in like the deets and like to gain full understanding on topics, and this is really what we're talking about, but it's important you know this, even if I hope I've tried to explain that in an understandable way. It's the best way off the fly I could think of doing it. I haven't written a show for that, but I need to do it, obviously. But you understand the problem. You can't predict what it's going to do because there's no way of looking in it and going, oh, so how are you looking in? What? So, examples of space-based AI combat networks. Back to it, Drew. Come on. DARPA's back black again. I like to give you examples of all these things so that you can look them up and you can understand that these are things happening now, not in the future. DARPA's Blackjack project, and again, I do apologise if you wake up tomorrow and want to re-watch this to absorb everything that we've been talking about tonight, and you find the video's not there. It's probably because there's some shit in here that you're probably not supposed to know. But anyway, Blackjack project, AI-powered military satellite constellation for battlefield awareness. Right, that's super important achievement. That could be a proper game changer. So China's AI-enabled satellite killers, I touched on that earlier, autonomous space systems that disable or hijack enemy satellites, genius. Russia's AI space reconnaissance systems, AI-driven orbital surveillance feeding live battlefield data to ground forces. This is what they're using now. This is what they got rocking. Don't underestimate Russia and China, ever. On the contrary, we should be respecting to the max. So the third element of the AI-powered electronic and space warfare then is the AI-controlled energy weapons and jamming systems. This is between you and me, this is one of Russia's forte. Cheers, everyone. Mind you, give them respect, Israel's not bad at it, but Russia's the forefront. So what we're talking about here then is AI-driven directed energy weapons, Jews, not Druze, Jews, and not Jews, Jews, and directed energy weapons, and jamming technology used to disable electronics and communications, right? So this has come up several times in tonight's show, but obviously this is specifically where this belongs, so microwave and laser weapons can neutralize drones, aircraft and satellites. They've got that rocking already. They've been doing that in Russia and in Ukraine with just basically, you just fire out like 1.2 gigahertz or, you know, other frequencies around that. I don't know how you're supposed to highlight that, but anyway, if you know what you're doing, you can beam the right frequency out to a drone and you can essentially scramble the GPS signal so you can make the drone think it's somewhere where it's not, because you can send out fake signals. It's difficult to do. It's not just jamming it. Nah, it's complicated shit. Or you can just beam it with a bunch of an array of frequencies with an antenna array that has lots of different frequencies on it and just confuse the hell out of it, right? And just you can use things like a Yagi antenna, a high gain antenna, or dish antenna is slightly more high gain, maybe 28 decibel. And you can get pretty good directional jamming bidnik going on at quite a range, let's just say. So yeah, jamming systems instantly locate and block enemy signals, and this is on the ground as well. Yeah, this includes, this isn't just drones and shit, this is like jamming like tanks, you know, and jamming their signals so they can't communicate with their fellow tanks, as an example. Talking of examples, US Navy's Helios laser system, yeah, that's worth looking into. AI controlled laser defense system for ships and drones. I was going to put the UK one in here as well, but I got into this, like, my OCD thing about this is like 3. I've done 3 examples for each of them. And I thought the US one was better. Sorry, Britain. But UK's got a pretty good one. They were the first to dish it out. And they reckon it's about £1 a shot of the laser weapon versus millions for chung missiles and shit, right? So lasers are cool, but they do have their limitations. But US Navy's Helios one means business. Ships and drones, like I say, that's more ship-based one, like the UK one is. So Russia's Krasuka, Russia's got a tank-mounted one, which is pretty cool. The EW system, which is an AI-driven electronic jamming disruption, NATO drones and radars, that's super effective. Like I say, this is their speciality. I could have done all 3 of these as Russian shit, to be honest. Like, I could have filled the page with Russian shit that they're rocking. Anyway, China's quantum AI jamming tech, again, don't get in the way of that, so I had to put her in there. Theoretical, it's not theoretical. Quantum power jamming that cannot be countered, right? Fuck around, find out, basically. So survival strategies, let us know what you want. Yeah? Let us know. Don't know, we're talking about going to the pub and knitting thingy-bobs live in the chat. Rug burns over rope burns, yeah. Not too complicated for everyone, is it? Everyone following along? Sorry, everyone. Anyway, so that wraps up the AI-powered electronic and space warfare. So straight into then, I've only got 2 on here, and I'm not going to tell you the story with that, but there's a reason why I had to remove it, and there was 2 others I had to swap out of here when I did my due diligence, and it was going to be too dodgy to put them in here because I think they might be classified tech. And it caused me a bit of a problem, which is why that's the real reason, to be honest. I was half hour late going live tonight. I'm never late. I go live exactly when I intend to, but I did originally set it as 10 o'clock, not 10:30, right? So AI and nuclear decision making, there's only 2 in here because I had to pull one out. Anyway, moving on. AI and nuclear decision making. So the most dangerous, as you probably all agree, AI warfare scenario isn't drones or cyber attacks. It's I rewrote this thing about 4 times. Let's just give you a fucking clue. The most dangerous AI warfare scenario isn't drones or cyber attacks. It's AI determining nuclear launch decisions. AI-driven nuclear systems promise faster response times, but introduce catastrophic risks if left unchecked. But autonomous by its very nature is unchecked. Right, anyway, so this is what they're doing to us. Slide 60. AI and nuclear decision making. So here we go. I've broken this down into 3, but I had to pull one out. Classified, removed. Don't. But again, this is why I like to do my due diligence, guys, because those that don't find out. Better be safe than sorry. I've invested an awful lot of my time, very professional work that I would have been paid hundreds of thousands of pounds had I been doing it for a company, building this business. And had virtually nothing in return in comparison, and I was only monetized a month or so ago, and so I just can't afford. YouTube's already made it so difficult for me to grow this channel compared to anyone in this space, that I have to, you know, more for the reasons I can't think of than for the reasons I can, as you say in business. So I'm sorry, that was a good one, but it had to go. AI last minute. AI determining if and when to launch nuclear strikes. Number 2, preemptive strike AI, right? So not retaliation systems. We're talking like, this is the most worrying one, right? AI predicting and countering nuclear threats before human intelligence can react. So in order to do that, it needs to just like go, oh, you know what? I think something's going to do this because it looks like it. But then you think, well, what if it was just a training exercise and it thinks it's fucking real? Do you know what I mean? Oops, too late. Anyway, I'll get into that in these slides. So the definition here then with the automated nuclear retaliation systems. This is retaliation. This is the first one. So AI-driven nuclear response systems designed to detect incoming threats and autonomously launch retaliatory strikes. So this kind of is in play already. Well, it is. I mean, this part of it kind of is. Russia says that it's had it in play. I don't know about America, but Russia has this as a contingency. Essentially, if the whole of the Russian leadership, forget the word they use for it, but it includes more than the leadership. But if it's decimated, then by its very nature, it's automatically set to launch all it's got. So it's almost like saying, whatever happens, everyone needs to pile in and save Russia if ever they look like they're going down the pan, because otherwise it's fucking curtains for everyone, right? Potentially. I mean, not really, but kind of, yeah? So AI reaction time is faster. This is why it's a game changer. So, you know, no one likes the thought of nuclear missiles going off anywhere, but, you know, in the event that it's us or them, I suppose these are the things that these war room people around their mahogany tables are brainstorming all day, every day. That's their job. I do it for a hobby, but they're paid to do it, right? So, AI reaction time is faster, so, you know, instant. Reducing the AI removes human hesitation, like I said earlier on, right? I mean, there's no if, buts, or maybe. It's like, you know, let me, Adam, Uncle Scoop. Let me, Adam, Uncle Scoop. Put up your dukes, Uncle Scoop. Got to put your thumbs in, don't forget. Maximum effect, thumbs in. Yeah? Otherwise, it doesn't hurt as much. Shh. Why is it a game changer? So examples then of automated nuclear retaliation systems. These are things already existing. Again, just to show you that this isn't all theory, right? Russia's perimeter dead hand system, that was what I was referring to. Semi-automated nuclear retaliation system designed to launch strikes if command structures are destroyed. You got the China's AI enhanced nuclear early warning system. They've had that a while, to be honest, but it's sort of been put on fentanyl recently and steroids at the same time. AI integrated threat assessment for nuclear response planning. Very strategic, very forward thinking, but it isn't dialed in to be able to act, but it's dialed in to be able to recommend. There's a big difference. Yeah. Anyway, US AI Skynet proposals. Yes, they're actually proposing to call it that as well. Can you imagine? Skynet. I mean, come on. read the fucking room, right? Everyone's seen the movie, bought the t-shirt, right? Please hit the like button if you're just joining us. Really appreciate any support of the channel in any way you can. Much needed. Thank you, everyone. Here we go then. Preemptive strike AI. So this is the second element of nuclear decision making where AI comes in, right? So the definition of this is AI-driven military systems designed to predict nuclear attacks before they happen and strike first. So this isn't like the strategic retaliation. We're talking like, this is what I was saying to you, is like the scariest bit, because it's like, what if it fucking gets it wrong? How many times have your predicted text got it wrong? How annoyed have you been of like, you keep typing the same fucking thing and it's like, insists you're trying to type that, and it's like, no! Surely part of that algorithm could say, if they've typed the same thing in 3 times in a fucking row, maybe that is what they actually want to type, and they don't want to use the word, whatever it is you keep throwing at. That's a good example of the preemptive, predictive thing, like properly getting it wrong, and this doesn't result in you getting annoyed and tossing your fucking phone across the room. Do you know what I mean? It's curtains and lights out. Man, who thinks this stuff up? So why is it a game changer? I don't know for who. For the world. AI can analyse troop movements, missile activity and geopolitical tensions to recommend preemptive nuclear action. And could lead to AI misjudging military drills as imminent attacks triggering accidental war, right? And that's one of the things I'm worried about. Everyone knows about the Cuban Missile Crisis. That was nearly curtains for an oversight. So good examples then. Preemptive strike AI. You got Project Maven. Again, you can look all these up. I think you'll find them. Project Maven, US Department of Defense, DOD, AI monitoring nuclear threats and recommending tactical responses. It's a little bit like that China one. China's AI nuclear strike analysis, although that was the one in reference to the retaliation one, right? America's got their one for the preemptive one. So China's AI nuclear strike analysis, AI processing satellite intelligence to predict nuclear launches. So there's a lot of AI systems that are satellite based that, for example, are just looking that they're trained to look for vehicles not being in the same spot anymore, or a little bit like there's some satellites, SAR radar, for example. I talked about it extensively in drone warfare. And I talked about how the ground penetrating radar and things like that, and how they map a location and they can determine if something's changed. So there's a new wire going along someone's roof, right? If there's a new fence put somewhere, if there's a tire track going across a field, these satellites will see that. It's like a before and after. It's like spot the difference. It'll take a picture of your area last week and it will take another picture of your area today, and it'll do a comparison of those 2 images, and it's so fucking detailed. It'll be able to tell you if you put a new wire across the lawn. And I joked about how do you think it doesn't take the local government very long to be knocking on your door to ask you if you've got planning permission for that new shed you put in the garden, right? Do you know what I mean? It's shit like that. Oh man. So anyway, you got Israel as well as in on the act. Look, with air assisted defense. So they got AI assisted in strategic nuclear deterrence modeling. Didn't work too well when Iran did its thing, though, did it? So that basically wraps up. In fact, that gives you a bit of a clue. One of the ones that was removed. Moving on. That was number 5 then, AI and nuclear decision making. So the next one is the most exciting one, really. Is it? I don't know. You decide which one of these you think's the most exciting. Do vote in the live poll while you're there as well. What do you think about how prepared you are? Yeah, for the AI and next-gen warfare tactics playing out. So next up then, AI, robotics and autonomous soldiers and ting. The 6th and final category of AI and next-generation warfare. So, AI-powered robotics and soldiers. So the most unsettling, in my opinion, the most unsettling AI warfare threat isn't cyber attacks or drones, it's autonomous robotic soldiers and AI war machines. I mean, let me know if you agree with me, but I just think the idea of being chased around by them little robot dogs or like Terminator-looking dudes is way more personal than like fighter jets flying overhead. I'll probably be like, oh yeah, man, how cool is that? And you see missiles going, it's like, oh, fucking hell, do you see how fast that was? It's different, isn't it? When you got robots running after, it's like, fuck it. It's bad, it's creepy. Yeah? Anyway. These systems promise efficiency and precision, but risk uncontrolled escalation and the removal of human oversight in combat. Always a scary thing. Didn't get to clip my thing on it. It's tugging on my ear. So this is how I've broken the 3 categories down in the AI-powered robotics and soldiers. I really wish I could have had 4 in this one, but it would have just made it all like skew with. So AI-powered humanoid soldiers and exoskeletons. I'd love to have one of them. Basically Iron Man we're talking about there. AI-driven humanoid infantry for urban and battlefield combat. Now this is humanoid. So it's not like just like you know, robot. It's, you know, a geezer inside, or, you know, he's like augmented and shit as well, right? But less and less so, to the point where, yeah, because that's where the exoskeletons come in. But really what we're talking about is like, you know, proper geezers rocking about. AI enhanced quadrupedal robot soldiers, you know, the ones talking about the dogs, the Boston Dynamics and things like that, DARPA dogs. AI controlled 4-legged war machines for surveillance and combat and chasing people down, right? AI and automated base defense and logistics is another big one as well as number 3. AI driven security bots, robotic sentries. Yeah, people seen my sentry turret that I've designed. I've shown that off a few times. That cost me a lot to build that, actually. All the CNC machined aluminium in it, all the gears and stuff, they're all custom. All electronics I built myself as well for that. So that's my sentry turret. It's got some cameras on it, and you can mount what you want on it, if you know what I mean. If you're creative enough, right? So, yeah, everyone wants a robotic sentry turret, don't they? That's why I built my own, and hopefully I want to bring it to market so you can have it. Yeah, you can have one yourself. Subject to budget. That's why I need to get this business rocking, man. So I need to start getting some money coming in. I can really make some cool shit for you, not just stuff like the Ultimate Hotspot and, you know, my books and all these other things that I develop and other products. I want to get like the big stuff rocking, you know. Has my thing crashed again? It has, hasn't it? Sorry, everyone. I have to reload it and then clear it. Robot dogs in the woods was enough for me. What, the one I showed you the other day? Yeah, it's pretty nasty, isn't it? I tweeted DARPA and Elon Musk asking whom robot soldiers are going to be fighting. It's good to see you, Jenny, by the way. If the other soldiers are also robots. What's the point? Robot Fight Club? Well, do you know what? Just as you're going to have AI versus AI, as we talked about in the cyber warfare, right? With the AI versus AI, where they're just autonomously fighting each other, it's going to be the same with the robots. Yeah? So this is robots designed to replace or assist human infantry in combat. And those robot dogs, you know, you can sit on them and you can like ride along on them, right? Which is pretty cool. So the cool thing about that in terms of it being such a game changer is obviously no fatigue. They don't get worn out, right? They don't complain. Don't get a headache. No emotions. Yeah, which means there's no hesitation. There's no like, oh, shall I, shan't I? It's like, nah, fucking lights out, bosh. Let me at him, Uncle Scoop. No battlefield hesitation. AI soldiers don't suffer from fear or trauma. They don't have to inject them with a whole load of nasty shit to make them more brave like they do in with you know who to go you know where. That's what they do. Like America. You wonder why they give them 36 injections when they join the army. Don't think they're all to keep you fucking... Do you know what I mean? Let's give him some angry fucking pills. Some Weetabix and some angry pills. That's all they need, isn't it? Anyway. Allegedly. No fatigue, no emotions, no battlefield hesitation. Yeah. So AI soldiers can process battlefield data faster than humans, you know, instantaneously. There's like swarm elements to it as well. Don't forget, if you combine what we talked about in an earlier category with a swarm technology, that's why I said back then, you know, you've got to No, it's not just like drones and things all go and doing their thing. We're talking ground-based drones working in swarms as well. So some of the examples I came up with for that for you would be the DARPA Atlas robot. Yeah, humanoid looking thing. And, you know, don't forget, this is the stuff we know about. Well, you can know about. Think of the stuff that we're not allowed to know about. You know, the shit that's in the underground bunkers and things that's like got the crazy people working on them, like that matey boy in like Independence Days, you know, who played Data in Star Trek Next Generation. I forget his name. Great actor, brilliant. You know, he plays the professor in the underground bunker in Area 51, Independence Day. Please let me know what his name is, because he needs some respect in the live chat. Are those dogs waterproof? Yeah, I showed a video last week of them coming out from under the water with all the guns on. Yeah, they were walking underwater like a crocodile. What else we got here? Yeah, so China's AI. Oh, sorry, Russia's Fedor combat robot. You said that's pretty cool. AI-driven robot infantry system tested for military operations. And then you got China's AI humanoid soldiers, prototype robots integrated into urban warfare scenarios. I've only seen CGI animations of those as proposed, so I don't know if they've actually got them built and all that yet. But. So next up is the AI-enhanced quadrupedal robot soldiers. So again, we're talking these robot dogs and jobs, right? Which people are like a bit gnarly about. Slide 71. AI-powered four-legged robots for battlefield surveillance, combat, and logistics, right? So carrying all your shit. Cheers, easy. Because who wants to carry their big old backpack and shit when you got a walking dog next to you? It's like, oi, lazy, carry that. AI powerful, blah, 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 blah. So why is it a game changer? Superior mobility. So quadrupedal robots, and I showed them several times and how cool they are climbing stuff, you know, over like branches and tree trunks and things, and trees lying on the floor. And down steps, it's like, you know, no problem at all. Way faster than humans, equipped with thermal cameras, LiDAR. Again, this is one of those ones I could have gone on forever on this one. I had loads of ideas for this, but anyway, I had to trim it down. So LiDAR and AI decision making, they can operate with minimal human control. Because there's other stuff in there with like thermal cameras, when you start adding that in there, plus other things you're not supposed to know about that exist that are like directed energy weapons, but they're not laser based, they're more radio frequency based. I forget the name on it. You'll let me know live in the chat what it's called, that weapon. Where are we? Yeah. So examples would be the Boston Dynamics Spot, AI-powered robotic dog used for reconnaissance. There's also like the first one that came out. It's like almost like a donkey mule thing, that's designed for carrying payloads and like weights and things. But that uses a petrol two-stroke engine as a generator on board. So it's, you know, it's all gone electric now, and you know, lithium titanate battery cells have meant things can be designed a bit differently. Some of the new modern chemistry, battery chemistries and things have meant that electric's the way to go for robots and shit as well. So China's wheeled robot dog sniper, that's the one we've been talking about, right? AI quadruped equipped with firearms, capable of urban warfare. And I wouldn't want to be, even if I was bugged out in the woods, I'd be a little bit concerned. Because them things like fly through the woods like ain't no thing. And don't forget, let me at 'em, Uncle Scoob, and they bring no lube. Russia's M81 combat robot dog, again, something else to be fearful of. AI quadruped armed with rocket launchers, because why have a firearm when you can just put a rocket launcher on it, innit, for military deployment? So again, survival strategies, I suppose, other than bundles of rope to trip them up and shit like that, and black paint mixed with sand over their LiDAR sensors, and maybe some jamming thrown in for good measure. Run, Forrest, run, is what I suggest. So just when you thought you were safe to bug out in the woods, and they bring out these little wheeled robot dog snipers. Nice. Nice. Brent Spiner, Daily Survival in the house. Moderator of all moderators and bestie in the whole wide world. In America, thank you. Daily Survival put me on. Brent Spiner was the one I'm talking about. The one in the bunker of Independence Day. So this is it. innit? This is the third and final one of the AI-powered robotics and soldiers, which is the sixth and final category. So, numero tres. Cheers, everyone. Sung Nung Song Sam. Number 3. AI guards. Never sleep. Don't hesitate. Oh, look, I missed a thing. I've got the A is bold. Oh, Drew, how naughty of you. I think that might be the first typo, considering I didn't even get time to relook at my work after lastminute.com finishing getting his slides out. I haven't even gone through it. But that's very naughty. I noticed the A of the and is bold and it shouldn't have been. So anyway, AI guards never sleep, don't hesitate, and are immune to bribery or psychological tactics. Now, the way I look at that, really, that was a really fair way for me to say, because what I really wanted to say was more like how you can't talk your way out of anything with robots, right? This is what I joked about before about when they roll out robots as police officers and things. You know, if you've seen Elysium, no, not Elysium, is it Elysium with Matt Damon? And there's like, they're waiting in the queue and that robot's walking along, he just don't take no shit, he's just like wallop, whacks him in the back of the head. There's no like negotiating, there's no like making him laugh and having a crease. Nah, it's like, just it is, man. And there's no negotiating, there's no like telling your side of the story, there's no compassion. Yeah. But military generals like that, because that's what creates indecision. That's what creates hesitation in the military troops. And this is why it all gets put on steroids and fentanyl, because when you're up against stuff that not just doesn't care, right? It literally let me out of Uncle Scoob and I don't bring no lube at the same time. And if it's Russia chasing your ass through the forest, don't forget they're putting rocket launchers on them. We love it. We love it. So AI, this is the third one then. So this is AI in automated base defense and logistics. So this is cool because it's like sentry turrets and shit like I've been building, yeah. So definition, AI powered robotic guards, sentry drones and automated resupply units, which is real handy, man. Yeah. And that can be drones, you know, think like Amazon, like drone deliveries, right? But, you know, cooking on gas. Yeah, and like tanks that are just like bringing supplies in. And the good thing about that being autonomous, it means you don't have to have a driver in it. If you don't have a driver in it, do you know what I mean? It's like, theoretically, you can put it at more risk. This is how military generals and people like that see it, because if they don't have to put any of their men in harm's way, then of course they don't. And so if you can just, rather than having drivers of Humvees going backwards and forwards of supplies, you just have them robot dogs, for example, the bigger ones, doing it. If they get taken out, it's just you send a bunch more out. Just send a swarm out. Yeah, we already know that's effective. So, yeah, these AI guards, they never sleep. My sentry turret I've designed and built, that doesn't sleep, you know, once I plug that in. Yeah, there's no like, oh, I'm having a bad day. Who's that? It's Katie Price's son, isn't it? Sorry. But yeah, they don't have a bad day. Yeah? They don't even get out of bed on the right side every day, because they don't even know to go in bed. So they have to make sure they get out of bed the right side of the bed each day to be vibing, man. Because if I was being sent out into the battlefield to be doing some bidney, I'd need to be properly vibing, man. I'd have to psych myself up for that shit. These guys, nah, don't worry about it. Hold my beer, I'm good. 24/7, I'll roll. AI-driven supply chains enable self-sustaining military operations without human intervention, all by itself. So here's some examples of how that's been rocking. These are all good things to look up for yourself and check out right in further detail if you like me and you like deets. Ghost Robotics, yeah, QUGV. Patrol bots, autonomous robotic guards deployed in military bases. You just need a couple of them if you want to be like properly set in your homestead. Yeah, a couple of them. Bosh. Watch the door, mate. AI-powered resupply drones. Military programs developing AI logistic bots to resupply front lines with human involvement. Without human involvement. Do you know, Russia's doing really well on that, actually. They've got a really cool drone. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it's like got 6 wheels or 9 wheels. No, 6 wheels. And it's quite small. And it's like coffin... I don't want to say it's coffin size, but it's like a troop carrier, but it carries 1 geezer. And it's designed to... It's autonomous. There's no driver in it because it's small. A 6-wheeler thing. And it drives itself out to the person that's on the floor injured. And it basically has got a thing that comes down the back, and a thing comes out and grabs hold of it and pulls the person into it, and it just drives off and gets out of Dodge, and it's all armoured and shit. It's like genius. It's like, yeah, man, I'll cause that. Yeah, come pick me up. I'm tired. I've hurt my toe. My ingrowing toenail's hurting me. Come pick me up. Sorry, I shouldn't joke about it. Anyway. AI-powered resupply drones for military programs developing AI logistic bots to resupply front lines, again without human involvement. Robotic kill zones, so China and Russia are into that. Yeah, AI-controlled automatic sentry systems capable of autonomously engaging intruders. Like, that's exactly what mine's based on. Yeah. But I'm not, like, not seriously. I mean, obviously, it's just a pan and tilt system. I don't want people thinking that I'm, like, some sort of Tony Stark. Yeah. I'm basically... I'm Tony Stark without the rich father and without the Pepper Potts. Oh, I've got a Pepper Potts. That's like basically daily survival is my Pepper Potts. Head of security as well. Love to you, my darling. And that, my absolute beauties, right, is 6 out of 6. It's 7 out of 7, isn't it, really? Because the break. Oops, sorry, wrong way. And that, my absolute darling wolf pack, was 5th and 6th generation warfare tactics, specifically AI and next generation warfare, by yours truly. Sigma Prepper, Drew Law in the house. A more strategic approach to preparedness. This is how we roll.